Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brewbuilt Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brewbuilt line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brewbuilt Conicals. You can trust Brewbuilt with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brewbuilt at morebeer.com.
I poured it in my mouth and it just wasn't going down.
My first beer was an IPA, the best IPA I've ever drank, mostly because I brewed it.
If you have a scale that is good for measuring cocaine, you're probably good for measuring hops on cocaine.
You're scaring me.
I think the information is awesome and the audio sucks.
Make some sugary water, throw some yeast in there.
And you're going to drink good beer.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's fine.
God damn it, man. Oh, my God. Uh-oh.
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
All right, welcome everybody to The Session live from Downtown Joe's in Napa once again, our favorite place to do remotes every time. And welcome Brewing Network listeners and brand new people and Downtown Joe's folks in general. Glad to have you guys out here. A lot of good-looking faces out there and a couple ugly ones. Most of them are our staff. Sorry, guys.
No, hey, I was clapping for you.
We're back with the Downtown Joe's brewmaster, Colin the Mad Scientist Kaminsky, is going to talk with us today, along with Jamil Zainasheff. We're going to talk about evaluating beer. That's right, not just for home brewers, but for those of you who come into the bar regularly and you taste Colin's concoctions here and try to figure out what you're tasting, what's going on in there. Sometimes they're the best beer you ever had, and sometimes, maybe they're a little less than that. And we're going to talk about the different things that make up those beers and the different flavors. So we're going to do that for you today. We got a lot happening. We've got a trip to give away to the Great American Beer Festival.
That's a good gig.
Looking forward to doing that.
Oh.
I'm being thrown some beautiful, nice bags of fresh hops. So we're going to be talking about good, smelly, danky hops.
Roll that up.
I have some of these growing in my backyard, actually. They look really nice right now, too. Is that these are homegrown homebrewer hops? Beautiful. I've got Nugget in my bag. I don't know what you guys got.
I've got Centennial.
It's going to smell like weed up here. It's very strange.
Again?
That's what happens with the cousin. So a lot of things to do today. We're also going to play Beer Jeopardy, which is something we like to do on our remotes.
Wow.
And we haven't done it in a little while.
Yeah,
so Shat, the producer, thought, hey, it's time to bring back Beer Jeopardy, and we're going to do that today.
Wow. So you told him to do it?
No, I'm telling you. I know that's typically the case, but no, Shat came up and said, hey, don't you want to do Beer Jeopardy? And I said, well, you're going to put it all together and make it happen, right?
And he goes,
forget it.
Yeah. I'm not doing
What? With no job, I have no time.
Yeah, he's got no time to do it. So we're going to do that today, and we've got some prizes to give away for it. It's going to be a good show. We're going to be here all night drinking Colin's beer, which is always the most fun part of our visit. So thanks for having us, Colin. Sitting next to me, to my right, a guest we haven't had on the program in a while, and practically a brewcaster, Sean Sully O'Sullivan.
On the Madonna mic.
Yeah, I gave you the Madonna mic.
It's really kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Houston, we have a problem.
But now you can move around. You can talk to everybody.
Out there in Vogue.
You can look around. You can do the Sully dance. whatever that is.
Yeah.
So
you want
Sully,
to see that.
Sully likes to come up to Downtown Joe's with us, too. You must like Colin's beer, because every time we come here, so do you.
It's actually closer to my house than your studio in Pacheco.
Is it?
Yeah, so that's the only reason, really.
I don't understand how that works.
That, of course, the beer is fantastic.
I see. Yeah, I was trying to give Colin some props.
No, fantastic beer. I think I'm having the...
Pale ale. No, wait.
Oh, I'm having a beer that's not on the board.
Ooh. How did that happen?
So
I didn't get offered a beer that's not on the board.
Everybody should go up and ask for it right now.
Can I have the beer that's not on the board, please? Yeah. Did you ride your scooter up here?
No, I did not. I left the scooter at home. I just came back from this crazy trip, and I'm was debating whether I should come up or not, and I thought, well, probably scooter is not a good idea. So I took the V6 Tacoma. Plus, I'd just been driving a Prius all over the Northeast, and I was like, I had to get back in the V6 and burn some gas.
Hippie.
So let's talk about that for a second. So Sully, the owner and brewmaster of the 21st Amendment there in San Francisco, he does a show with us quite often, and you just got to go to an event that we all tried and wanted to go to.
Yep.
The Sean Paxton Ebenezer's beer dinner.
Yeah, this was up in Lowville, Maine, which is, if anybody's ever been to Lowville, Maine, it's about an hour and a half outside of Portland, and it is the Sticks. This pub up there is right alongside a golf course called Ebenezer's, and it's owned by Chris Livery and his wife, and it is the most phenomenal beer bar you'll ever go to.
Really?
Yeah, and but it's freaky because you're out in the middle of nowhere.
I see.
And in fact, I'd heard that Stephen King lives right up the street.
That freaks
in
me
Maine,
out.
and you now know, having gone there, why those books are so freaky, where all the material came from.
It all comes from right there in Lowell, Maine.
Crazy stuff.
Really?
He just get purs on Belgian beers and writes creepy stories about
he actually apparently frequents it a
face.
lot. But so I was there. It was like a 7-hour meal, 12 courses, unbelievable amount of beer. There was a lot of BNers there who were actually very pissed that you didn't show up.
They were?
Oh, yeah. You had guys like
I gave a lot of notice that we couldn't make it, though.
Yeah. Well, they were still angry. It was kind of cool, though, because I literally drive up. I've been driving for hours from Boston.
In a Prius.
In my Prius.
Which
I slept in the night.
Did you?
That's a whole other story.
You rented the Prius deliberately.
No, they gave it to me. And I was
just went to whatever rental car agency, and they said, we have a Prius.
Yeah, they looked at me, and they said, San Francisco, okay, and they gave me the Prius, and that was it. And it actually worked out well, because, I ate, the gas was nothing.
Right.
But the night of that dinner, there wasn't a place for me to stay. It was like musical chairs. There was these rooms that were lined up at this local lake resort, which was not really a resort, and it
was more of a lake campground.
Was it called Camp Crystal Lake by any chance?
And I was up late with Will from Cambridge Brewing Company in Paxton, and they all kind of wandered off. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go find my room now. And I went there, and there was somebody sleeping in my bed. So
oh, really?
So I heard a story.
It was obviously not a female, otherwise you'd have jumped right in.
It was actually his sous chef, and I was like, well, apparently things have been arranged for Sully.
Yeah, and you rejected. They were taking care of you.
Yeah, well,
little dessert.
What happens in Maine stays in Maine.
That's right.
So
I've heard that
So
before.
Paxton's like, well, I'll find you a place to stay. And so we kind of wander off to the big inn that they had there.
Yeah.
And I'd heard a rumor that, or they had told me that nobody locks their doors in Maine. So I couldn't find any place to stay there, and I ended up saying, all right, well, I'm just going to listen for the air conditioning room that doesn't, or the room that doesn't have air conditioning running, and open the door and just. So I literally walked up to this door, opened it up, and there's this couple. I'm like, hey, what's going on here?
Oh no!
And
were they sleeping when you watched?
Well, I think there was something going on. but the funny thing is that I would have jumped up and just gone right for the door, and this guy, oh, no problem. It's like it happens all the time in Maine. People just walk in the door.
That's creepy.
So I said, you know what? I think I got a date with my Prius tonight. So
I see.
Went back and slept in the back seat. And that was
so
it.
How comfortable is the Prius to sleep in?
It's not very comfortable.
Really?
No. For if you're drunk, which I was, 3 hours tops, and that's it. I woke up the next morning and drove to Portland.
Opened the door, took a pee, and then drove to Portland.
Tried to find me a Starbucks, civilization. Thank you, you're here. I can buy a CD.
I heard from Chad and some of our other East Coast natives that the mosquito action up there is ridiculous. Like you have to run from whatever establishment you're at to your car in order to not be surrounded.
Yeah, at the Ebenezer's, we were seated outside, or actually inside, but it was a screened-in area, and they were getting in there, and you had to put some stuff on you.
So. A lot of that cancer stuff.
But Rob Todd was there from Allagash. You had Matt Brittleson from Firestone Walker and his girl, and I was hanging out with some guys from Three Floyds. It was just a phenomenal. They had a 9-liter bottle of was it Sanctification from Vinny. I mean,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Wow. Chad, we missed a good dinner, apparently, with some good
the thing
people.
you missed that nobody knows about is that afterwards, this is what happens. Chris Lively, the owner, grabs a group of us, and we go down to the cellar.
Okay.
And he starts pulling out like a 1902 bottle of Bass barley wine.
How was that?
It was awesome.
Really?
Yeah. 1958 bottle of Saison, or it was just kind of
And-
Arguz, excuse me. Just really crazy stuff.
So be honest with me, aside from the uniqueness of the age of these beers, did they really age well?
That one did. I mean, a barley wine actually held up. It wasn't oxidized or anything like that. The hops had dropped out.
And it was from Bass.
It was from the Bass. It was the Coors Brewery that I forget the name. It was like the White Kings or something.
Yeah, that'd
the brewery
be worth
that they
the
bought,
price
they
of
had-
admission.
That they found, and it was great. It was awesome.
Any other unique beers worth mentioning that you just never would have seen anywhere else?
This is kind of. It wasn't very good actually. It was a 1970. He had a bunch of bottles of Duvel from 1970.
Really?
It was kind of like all right, I had that, but I don't think I'd like order it.
Do it again. Did he tell you where he got these beers?
Chris,
Because he's not that old.
Well, Chris is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and I think he just has this attitude that he is going to get anything he can get.
Okay.
And he's going to get everything he can get. Excuse me. And he, no matter how he can get it.
He just stocks it up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know legal how it happens.
Must
but,
be like eBay, right?
yeah,
like where do you
eBay,
find
yeah.
old beer like that?
Yeah. It was
Colin's house, probably. He's got a bunch of weird
well,
stuff.
I mean, he doesn't even put the beer on the board I'm having right now. So clearly, he's got something going on.
Rated Colin's stash.
Yeah.
How was the food? Paxton, we talk him up a lot.
Food was absolutely amazing. And bison tongues and
Really? Is that legal in Maine?
Everything is legal in Maine.
I see.
Veal cheeks. It was all sous vide. It's where
Baby's ass.
It was. We had some of that actually. It was
Yeah.
delicious.
Deep fried.
Yeah. Not deep fried.
Okay,
No.
that would be wrong.
Sautéed lightly with the breaded coating. And he prepared everything sous vide, which is the technique where you vacuum pack food or meat, raw meat, and you basically have maybe some beer in there or some other sort of spicing and all that, and then you cook it in a water bath at like 150 degrees or what it is for a certain amount of time, and it just comes out perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
We missed out on a good
You
dinner.
totally did, and the
apparently.
BNers represented. I mean, the first people I saw when I walked up there, had a whole little tent set up because you could camp out there.
Yeah.
And
Hop grenades everywhere?
Hop grenades absolutely everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
So we overtook the place like normal.
Yeah, they called you a douche, though.
That's fine.
so.
Listen, had I showed up, they would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
This would have proved it.
I like that we represent, though, all these different events, especially the ones that we talk about. We've promoted that one a little bit. Then the BNers show up in force. So East Coast BN is a strong BN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
serious.
saying? Tasty, they're anything we mention on the East Coast, those BNers
Right.
show up.
There's
They're
a lot of
dying
them,
for us
too.
to get out there and do some events. The problem is, see, I always want to go do events, but Tasty's the one always telling me, no, we can't go out there. We don't have time. It's all Tasty's fault.
That's right.
So
I'm holding him back.
I'm sticking to that, by the way, and it's entirely Tasty's fault.
So definitely a plug for Ebenezer's Pub in Lowville, Maine. Anytime you get up, I mean, you will have a phenomenal time. It actually started off the whole Belgian Beer Week up there. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying it out. I've been wanting to go to Ebenezer since we heard about this. I guess it was 2 years ago now that I've heard about this dinner. So hopefully we'll be able to make it next year. And it sounds like, Sully, you're sold on the thing. You're going to be there next year if you
Dude,
can.
I already bought an apartment up there.
You did?
Yeah.
You're moving to Maine.
Right next to Stephen King. I'm going to be in the next book. The big-headed white guy gets killed.
You were in New York also before that. Did I see that right? Or just at Cambridge?
I was in Boston, and then I was in Worcester, Massachusetts.
What were you
after
doing
that.
there?
We sell our beer out there right now.
Okay.
And by the way, Massachusetts, great for the 21A. I mean, you buy more beer than anybody else.
Great. We have a lot of Massachusetts listeners,
Yeah,
too.
I've met a bunch of them. And so we were out at this pub called the Armsby Abbey, owned by a guy named Alec Lopez and his wife, and just a really great guy, just mixing it up out there in West Mass.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I got paid for all these plugs, by the way.
Hey,
I
good.
hope
No,
that's
good
okay.
for you. Well, we like to hear about these trips anyway, especially if they're trips that we missed and find out what's happening with our East Coast folks. It's good to know. All right, let me get through a few announcements. Sully's going to be hanging out with us tonight. We got a lot of things to do. Our More Beer donation giveaway ends tonight. You had to have registered by midnight last night to get in on it. And it's brought to you by Beer, and More Beer, White Labs Yeast Company, the Brewing Network, and the Brewers Association. And we're giving away an virtually all-expense-paid trip to the Great American Beer Festival, which happens at the end of September. All you need to do is bring money for food because all your beer is given to you once you get into the festival.
Yeah.
And we're giving you tickets to every session of the festival. We're flying you out there. We're putting you up in a hotel. And you don't even have to sleep in the same room as JP.
That's true.
We're really setting you up with all sorts of things. Bevo's going to be there. If the GABF wasn't enough, our lovely chat moderator Bevo will be there at the Great American Beer Festival. We're going to be doing that drawing later on in today's show, so stay tuned if you're excited to find out if you won. The way that you enter for these giveaways that we do every single month is just to sign up as a recurring donor in the BN Army. And sometimes we let you do one-time donations too. It wasn't the case this time around. You had to be a recurring donor. But it's easy. If you sign up for $2 a month, you're in every single drawing that we do. Even if the raffle tickets are sold for $20, if you're a $2 recurring donor, you're in it automatically. So just go to thebrewingnetwork.com/donate, sign up. You're in every one of these drawings. If you've already done that, your name is in the hat tonight to pull for a trip to the Great American Beer Festival.
Wow, that's an awesome trip.
It's a good time. Sully, you go every single year. We always see you there.
I'll be there. I'll be judging, too, and I'll be there.
How many beers did 2NA submit this year into the competition?
We're sending, I think, nine.
Is that right?
Yeah.
8 was the magic number I've heard all around. When we did our little tour across the Pacific Northwest, I asked every brewery, I'm always curious, how many people are entering. And 8 seemed to be the magic number, so you one-upped a few breweries.
Well, those 8 probably win. The ones that donate 8, I donate 9, and that's not the magic 9. That's why I lose every... Well, actually, no, I get a medal every other year.
You do?
Yeah, for just showing up.
So this is your year, right? Did you get a medal last year?
No, I didn't get one last year.
This is your year.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Do you have a Pro-Am beer this year?
I do, actually. I did a Pro-Am beer with Richard Brewerhay, who has a pub in his house, and we brewed his ESB. He wants to start a pub called the Elizabeth Street Brewery, so we brewed an ESB.
All right.
Yeah. After I was denied again by Tasty.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's all my fault.
Yeah,
right?
It's like Vinny didn't even. Vinny didn't. Tasty, did it with Vinny.
Denied again. You got him last year, but it was by default, right?
Yeah, it was. Like,
it was because Vinny denied him.
Yeah. So.
I was available.
Well, maybe next year, JP.
Okay. I'm just saying, I was available for you.
If things go as well as they did this last year, then we'll do you.
Tasty, do you think it's really appropriate as a host on the session to reject a sponsor like Sully to be his Pro-Am brewer?
Well, no, he didn't ask me this year.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, because you had already lined it up. The funny thing about I actually got it. You brewed, I don't forget what beer it was, but I actually got an email or a text from Vinny. He said, hey, do you have any Northern Brewer hops? And I said, no.
You weren't going to give it up.
No, he didn't have
Absolutely not.
As I'm throwing them out the window at passing cars. No, I don't.
No help at all.
Yeah. I would love to see JP enter the Pro-Am at GABF.
Well, I have to win an award in the Nationals.
Well, any competition.
No, you just have to have
any
any AHA sanctioned competition, and then you're fine.
I choose to raise the bar a little bit. Yeah, you don't have to raise it that much.
Yeah. Tasty uses his beer that won at the National.
Right.
Oh, I should enter in the competition then.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm excited to see you guys at the GABF, and hopefully we'll pick a BN winner here, because you not only entered through being a Brewing Network donor, but also if you were buying vials of White Lab yeast through More Beer or morebeer.com, your name is also in the bucket today. So a lot of chances to win. BNA4, our Brewing Network anniversary, we've got shirts available for that. Glassware still available. It's all in the store. Check it out. I've got shirts available here at today's Downtown Joe's appearance. So if you're here and you don't have your BN Army gear, just come see Schumann. He's the stupid-looking guy with the bald head. He wears a shirt that's too tight for him. You can't miss him. He's the guy who will sell you Brewing Network gear.
But
and I will tell you this, you get 25% off all your beer at Downtown Joe's if you're wearing the Hop Grenade.
So it pays for itself if you drink like we do.
It pays for itself. Now check this out.
Yeah.
If you have the Hop Grenade tattooed to your body, and it has to be a real tattoo, you get dollar beers anytime you come to Downtown Joe's. All you got to do is get the Hop Grenade tattooed to your body. And I want to say this, just before the show, I learned that our very own Bevo is thinking about getting the Hop Grenade tattooed to her body. Bevo, would you like to talk to us about your ideas with the Hop Grenade?
I don't really have anything to say. I've wanted a tattoo for a while, and I can't think of anything that I want forever.
Except the Hop Grenade.
And this has been an important part of my life, and why not commemorate it with a very, very, very small
You're going to get a tiny
tattoo.
one. So we're not talking about like a big tramp stamp,
No,
like
not a
that's
tramp
very
stamp.
popular.
No.
You're not going to get the tramp stamp.
So like in 10 years, it'll be so small, in 10 years it'll just be a dot.
Pretty
It'll
much,
just be
yeah.
the same color.
And you don't want to do the thing. You know, some women like to get, when they're young, they like to get the sun around their belly button. You know, not thinking that one day they may be pregnant and the sun will turn into
a
like,
red dwarf,
the universe. You know, an exploding
dwarf.
star.
Absolutely not.
You don't want to get the hop grenade on your
No,
belly button.
Not even a little bit.
So where are you thinking about getting it?
I am thinking either my wrist or my foot.
Your wrist or your foot? What about? Didn't you say to me you thought
you
maybe
told me
behind
you weren't
the
gonna
ear?
let me do that, so
She thought about getting all gangsta
Very
style
small.
and
It's
getting
not
it behind her
Oh.
ear.
And then are you going to get Thug Life on your neck on the other side, or
I was
what?
thinking maybe just like in the shape of a teardrop.
Oh,
Maybe
on your eye.
You were going to get a neck tattoo?
Now, Bevo spent some time in Pinole to know about
no,
the
it's not your
teardrop.
neck. It's behind your ear.
Ain't no party
Yeah.
like a Pinole party.
Unemployable.
See, here's the thing.
That's
Now, this is
exactly
what I
what he
said.
said.
So, I would be so excited for the Brewing Network to see. I think it'd be very sexy for you to have the hop grenade behind your ear. I would love it, but because I like you as a person and not just as
Don't do it.
a volunteer, I had to say that's exactly what I said to her. So I said, "Listen, one day you either may have to get a job or some kind
married.
of
Oh, you're sure you're
presentable
married.
solution." And there's something about a tattoo above the T-shirt line that changes people's outlook about you. It doesn't matter how
smells
nice
prison.
you are. It stinks of prison. Yeah, it does. As much
And
as
I just reek of prison.
Well, you might have done some time back in the old
have
days.
you thought about
Girl
on
on girl.
a butt cheek?
No, because
Not at all.
if you've met anybody in my family,
Yeah, you have big butt cheeks.
yes. And I don't want the hop grenade to start out small and just
Yeah.
become a hop tree.
And turn into a hop farm.
Well, hops grow.
Exactly.
So it'd be
They
kind of
do.
a
How about like right
evolution.
here, like on the inside of your bicep?
Yeah, that's hardcore.
So you're thinking possibly on your wrist.
Yeah.
Because and I
can
like
cover
that
that with
one.
a watch.
But then of course, you'll have to maybe wear a long sleeve shirt if you have a job interview, or if your priest wants to talk to you on a particular day.
I'm not Catholic.
Oh,
Or your youth pastor.
your
Excuse
youth,
me.
if Terrence
well,
wants to talk
yeah,
to you,
her youth pastor's black, so he'll probably be cool with it.
he's fine with you being inked.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, I think it's exciting.
I think it's good.
My dad, the one who is still alive, he just got the hop grenade
Where?
tattooed to his body.
No.
He
Sure.
did.
He better come in here and get some dollar beers.
Yeah, when I was back there in April, Sully and I were both there for the Craft Brewers Conference. He mentioned getting a tattoo, and he said, "But I don't know what to get." And I said, "Well, why don't you get your kids' initials, mine and my brother, and his little grandson. He loves his grandson, little Justin." And I said, "Well, you want to do something with you're all about your kids. Why don't you do that?" So he got really excited about that idea, and when he went to his artist, he thought, okay, not only am I going to do the kids' initials, I'm going to put a symbol next to each one of their initials that recognizes what they're into.
What they're into.
So like one is like hitting women. And
What happened? Yeah, that's my brother's. It's a paddle and a baseball bat.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And then mine is the hop grenade, which I think is great, but here's what happened. The picture I saw, the hop grenade is huge. It's like the size of his whole shoulder, and then everything else is like sort of subtextual, as opposed to the. So I think his tattoo artist just went wild with the hop.
He liked it.
So now my dad, who doesn't even really drink very much beer, has a hop grenade tattooed to his arm.
Oh, he got it.
He got it.
Wow.
It's done.
And he got the initials and all that?
And the initials.
Wow, so you're like the favorite son, it sounds like.
And I felt bad about that.
So the next time you guys want to do the anniversary party here,
Yes,
I have
Colin.
a local tattoo artist that's
Okay.
willing to come in just to do B and Army tattoos.
So check this out, Colin. I'm glad that you're mentioning this. After we did our last show here at Downtown Joe's, I got an email from a listener who lives down the street, and he said, "Look, I love the show, and I love the hop grenade. I would be willing the next time you guys do a remote to come down to Downtown Joe's and let that guy, because you mentioned this guy last show, to let him tattoo me with the hop grenade right there in the studio." He even said he would allow the brewcasters to do some fill-in of the ink. This is how hardcore this listener is. So next time we set a remote, Colin, I think we're going to have to coordinate with your tattoo guy.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll set up a little parlor right here in front of the table.
Wait, we have to look up what the laws are about that. But
Please do that. I don't want anyone to
Whatever,
get in
laws,
trouble.
laws.
But how great would it be that our listeners...
because I know they're licensed.
Because really, they're coming in here, they're getting a hop grenade tattoo on the air, which is great for us. It's great for them because they get dollar beers every time they show up with that tattoo.
And we need to put a webcam in.
Yes. Oh, for that show, there will be a webcam.
The whole time, the background noise will be...
yeah. So, Tasty, when are you getting your hop grenade tattoo?
Uh-oh. It's like peer pressure right now.
Well, I might be up for that, sure. Yeah, I can't give you a date.
You're getting up there where it doesn't really matter what you do anymore. You know?
That's what I said to Tasty, too.
He can get a Mike Tyson tattoo on his face.
And it's, it's only going to be there for so many years.
Exactly. You can get a hop grenade on your face, like your whole face.
That's funny. It's exactly what I said to Tasty JP. He was talking. I said, "Why don't you get a tattoo?" He said, "I don't know what to get." And I said, "Tasty, it doesn't matter. You're old."
That's right.
Wow.
It's how long?
It's coming around soon, isn't it?
How long is it going to last?
Exactly.
All right. Let me do some feedback. We'll get to the Brewing Network feedback. We got a lot to do today. Chat's got some announcements for you. We're going to do Beer Jeopardy after the first break, and then we're going to talk to Colin and Jameel about evaluating beer. They're going to teach us how to find problems in our homebrew, and also just how to evaluate craft beer that you might find at your local place like Downtown Joe's. All right, so let me go through some feedback. I don't have all of our sound effects going on today, but that's all right. We'll have Sully will do the banjo in the background there. Yeah. Okay, first of all is a bit of beer news. Now, we haven't done beer news in a little while. It used to be a segment we do on every show. I thought we'd bring it back this week because 2 different listeners sent me some interesting news stories this week. So the first one is about women and beer, and the science of how beer affects women. It's about the best combo.
It gets them pregnant, is what happens.
So here we go. Justice, you osteoporosis preventing no talent hack. I know that the listenership of the BN is largely dudes, but since most of them have wives, girlfriends, and people they're stalking, I thought I'd pass this bit of information along before sending it on to the JP News team. It's from the BBC News, which is a credible news source, of course. Moderate drinking boosts bones. Women who drink moderate amounts of beer may be strengthening their bones, according to Spanish researchers. Their study of almost 1,700 women published in the Journal of Nutrition found that bone density was better in regular drinkers than non-drinkers. So, it turns out when you suggest to that pretty redhead at the end of the bar that she needs another beer, really you're just helping her out with osteoporosis later in life.
Yeah, well, you help her out with her bones, and she helps you out with yours. That's kind of how it goes.
That's exactly how it works.
Yeah, okay.
So, of course, every time we read these beer and health studies, they all revolve around moderate drinking, like Sully does, not like the rest of the BN does,
right.
But moderate drinking.
Right.
And then it's always good for you.
Yeah, right.
So the other piece of news that I got in is not actually beer news, but very relevant to the program, especially to Schumann and JP. And according to MSNBC.com, a survey shows that the average gamer, the average World of Warcrafter...
Schumann, pay attention. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm glad you're excited about this piece of information, JP. The average gamer is 35, fat, and depressed.
2 out of 3 isn't bad. Really, I mean, come on.
I mean, really, it's the only thing
You're
missing
26.
here, JP, is that you're not 35.
That's true.
In 6 years, I'll be just like that guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here goes. A new study says the average age of video game players in the U.S. is 35. And by the way, they're overweight and tend to be depressed.
Yeah, well.
Investigators from the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention analyzed a survey of 552 adults in the Seattle-Tacoma area, and the subjects range in age from 19 to 90. And according to the study, most of you are 35, fat, and depressed.
I think you're only fat and depressed when your elf doesn't make level 80.
Is that
before the new expansion pack?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I see.
So if your characters are doing really low level stuff, then you're really bummed.
You're bummed out.
Yeah.
Now,
like
see,
if you're turning in green quests, you're just a jerk.
What's a green quest?
Yeah, well, I'll show you someday.
Now listen.
Does it hurt?
Schumann doesn't really fit this bill yet, but JP, come on.
He's older than
you are spot on the quintessential sit at home and play World of Warcraft.
They just got the age wrong.
You're not happy with your lot in life.
If that's true, would I be here right now? No, I'd be grinding right now to 80.
Well, I think you're still trying, is what the deal is. You haven't given up.
I haven't given up. You're right.
He's not really fat though.
He's actually thinned down.
I've lost a lot of weight.
You have actually.
How much is a lot?
See, look at that.
How much have you lost?
In 4 years, I've lost 20 pounds.
Wow.
Really? You used to be 20 pounds heavier?
I used to be like
Sully.
When I went to my doctor when he told me about my cholesterol issue, I was 236.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I don't even think Shat's 236.
No, he is.
I got like 10 feet on Chad.
I see.
But I'm down to like 215, 211.
Wow.
You know.
You were a huge bitch.
I know.
It's a big man.
Well, he's fat like you. Like, he's skinny everywhere else but his belly.
Well, not everywhere else, sweetheart. You know what I'm trying to say?
No more talking. We're done.
What is he trying to say?
Yeah, what is that?
I have wide feet.
Oh, okay. The feet thing.
All right, I got a lot of other feedback that I need to get to. I just wanted to read that little story and let you know, JP, that you fit the profile. So that maybe I shouldn't be so hard on you about all your game playing, because it's only natural, apparently.
It might make me go back into my games even more.
Okay. All right, here's a lot of positive feedback this week, which I thought was worth reading for some odd reason.
None of it about me.
Hey, BNers, I've been listening for a few years and thoroughly enjoy all the BN programs. I just wanted to swing a line or few your way and say thanks for your programming. Y'all keep me from playing bumper cars during my daily commute in the DC area. And to let you all know that your sage advice and knowledgeable discussions were undoubtedly contributing to my Doppelbach placing first and receiving a best of show in the Montgomery County Agricultural Fair Homebrew Competition. So,
what's this guy's name? Is that Keith?
This is John.
Oh.
He's a PFC in the BN Army.
Nice.
I had some kudos going to you, Sully, in my
really?
feedback,
Well, read
too.
that, please, because I have a fragile ego that needs to be fed constantly.
I think it was somebody who was just able to find your 2NA beer there in recent times, because you're really expanding to the East Coast now, aren't you?
Yeah, we're doing really well back there.
Oh, I have a good story about you. Can I tell a story here?
The kid's just gaming right there. Don't worry about it.
I'm so worried about I can't tell it here. I'll tell it the next time you're in the studio, Sully. It's
that
a
won't
nice,
happen for another year.
It's a good story about your beer, though.
Is it?
And
Can
Chad,
you use words?
Chad was offering your beer to a certain group of individuals who found it offensive.
Which one?
They thought that Chad was being racist by offering him your Brew Free or Die and Watermelon Wheat beer in cans.
Racist.
Was Terrence there?
It wasn't Terrence. Basically,
was a Chinese
Chad and I
rapper.
got a visit from our neighbors the other day, and one of them happens to be a gangsta rapper. Quite literally, like he had just come home from a recording session with Lil Wayne.
Like for shizzle.
Lil Wayne.
What's his name? Bee Dropper?
Mob.
Or something like that?
His name is Mob, but he goes under the name of Piney Wood.
It's Piney Woods.
Mob
He says it better
Piney
than we do. We kept saying Piney Woods. Your rap name is Piney Woods.
I'm going to go camping into Piney Wood.
And he kept saying, no, it's Piney Wood.
Neck
Piney
tattoo.
Wood. He said it much better than we do. And anyway,
Yeah.
Piney.
We gotta lay it down.
So Piney is hanging out at our place.
Piney.
You know, we're just doing our thing in Pacheco.
Yeah.
We were just, you know.
What is your thing in Pacheco?
What we do, we were hanging out on the back
Smoking the
patio,
hookah.
had the hookah going.
Yeah.
Chad was giving IPAs out left and right. And so finally, Chad, who was, let's just say, less than sober, got really excited at one moment that he thought, hey, I think I've got a can of Watermelon Wheat.
Oh,
But Chad just wanted to. He likes.
Well, yeah.
They weren't into IPAs too much and different beers, and so he thought, well, let me try this one. And well, he couldn't find the Watermelon Wheat, so he proceeds to explain it to them. But then he goes, but what I do have is this, and he hands them a Brew Free or Die IPA, and Piney takes one look at it and goes, what is this? What is this? Some kind of black joke? What? And Chad's like,
what is the reference?
Chad goes, I don't understand I'm just offering you a beer. And he's like, be free or die? Brew free or die? What are you trying to say to me? And Chad was like, no, I just thought you'd like I thought you'd like the beer.
What do you think I am, from New Hampshire? Come on.
It was a big mess, and the rest of the night they kept giving Chad the eye like he was in the Klan.
It would have been great if he got his ass kicked.
Oh, it was fantastic. I loved every second of it.
Wow, I've never. People usually don't make that connection like that.
Well, apparently you're not big in the gangsta rap crowd, because if you were, you would have heard this already.
Well, maybe we are actually. Maybe he was just confused.
He was very
turn it
offended.
around.
He was upset.
I'll have a talk with him after the show.
Maybe Chad. Maybe you're going to be in like one of his new songs where the honky with a watermelon.
Well, he
can
was
or
angry,
something like that.
and yelling at me, but he was rapping.
Yeah,
And
later on he did a flow that was all about Chad and his hops, so I think it ended up being fine. What? Well, Chad makes nice. He ended up explaining to him that he listens to reggae music and he's not a racist.
Well, that's pretty good.
I like barbecue.
Yeah.
Hey, I like the Sizzler, too.
No, Chad's like the most down one out of all of you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I found it hilarious that this guy thought Chad was the racist. And then about 5 minutes later, Schumann showed up with his bald head and Doc Martens on.
That's right. Hey, you guys going to the Klan meeting?
And the guy got really freaked out. It was an interesting night in Pacheco. Yeah.
When was this?
So keep an eye out for the new album from Piney Wood. It's that joint is dropping in the next, I think next month.
It's dropping as soon as Chad's body does.
Yeah.
Well, I'll sign any release. I think it's fine to get that kind of marketing dollar if you put.
Well, look what it did to Cristal, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that was an awful champagne, and then someone decided to sing a song about it, and now
it was big time.
One, yeah.
He is rocking BN Army gear.
Yeah,
now.
we sent Piney Wood home with a BN Army hat. It looked better on him than I've ever seen it on anybody, and I think he's going to put it in the next video.
Next time you see him, drop a case off of the Be Free or Die, and we're going to angle that towards the African American community now. And
you might be going somewhere.
And tell him it's hope he enjoys it.
Yeah, into the morgue is where you're going.
Yeah. All right,
By
that's
the way,
enough.
That was all just a bit. It's not. I'll sign any sort of disclosure notice right there.
Whatever you need to do. All right, that's enough feedback for today. Feedback's brought to you by Williams Brewing. They're right down there in the Bay Area, in the East Bay area.
Yeah.
You can go to williamsbrewing.com and get all your homebrew supplies. Chad, have you got some announcements for us today?
I sure do.
All right, announcements are brought to you by Brewmaster's Warehouse, a brand new sponsor here at the Brewing Network, and you can design your own recipes through their website. And when you're done designing it, just click the checkout button, and all your ingredients will be right there. You can check out, have the thing. You can share your recipes. It's really a great new service. So Chad's announcements brought to you by Brewmaster's Warehouse. Chad, what do you got?
All right. In Wisconsin, the Schooner Homebrewing Championship's coming up, and pretty much the deadline for that one is September 8th. Go to theschooner.org. And last year, a BNer won the Best of Show.
Whoa,
so that's a big competition in Wisconsin. The Mad Zymerages are also putting on a competition coming up on October 10th. That's going to be at the Oktoberfest in Oakland. It's a German-style homebrew competition. Entries are being accepted September 12th through the 26th. Go to oktoberfest.org. September 1st through the 9th, the Seven Bridges Organic Homebrew Challenge. They're accepting entries during those dates, and that'll be held on the 18th. Go to breworganic.com for all the details on that one. A couple rallies coming up. One is the Elysian Brewery up in Seattle. That's on the 12th of September. Then GABF, the 24th to 26th of September. End of the month coming up pretty soon here. And that is pretty much it. Oh, actually, I do have one last thing. The Arizona Homebrewers Competition, and entries are due the 17th. Judging is on the 19th.
Great. Thank you, Chad. Once again, Chad's announcement brought to you by Brewmaster's Warehouse. Don't forget, we're going to be at the Great American Beer Festival also. Not only have we got our booth set up like we always do, but we are in charge of the Brewers Pavilion, and I will be doing interviews and panels and discussions all throughout every session the whole week during GABF, all brought to you by the Brewing Network. And I will record that audio as well so that we can put it on the website.
Maybe you can interview me this time, not like at NHC. No,
I did interview at NHC.
Sponsor of the show. No, he can't come over.
You were on my Going Pro panel.
Yeah, I was.
You got to speak like
I said 4 words.
A half a sentence.
Yes.
It was. I think we're doing another Going Pro panel. Actually,
are you? Be sure not to invite me to that.
All right. Maybe I'll let you sit inside the Brewers Pavilion with us this time around, Sully. How about that?
That's pretty good.
Just as long as I can sit.
Everybody's going to the GABF except for JP.
Aww.
Yeah, why aren't you going, JP?
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing Because that one listener now is not going to want to listen ever again.
So you complain about... Are you not going to the GABF because Tasty didn't invite you personally to come to the GABF this year,
Well,
JP?
no, he wrote me a very nice handwritten note. I thought it was very nice. He put it under my pillow.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
So that's not the reason you're not going.
That's not the reason.
Why aren't you going?
Because he's going... I'm going to tell you the reason. I'm not even going to let him answer.
Aww.
He's not going because he's going to Disneyland. That's why, JP. And I I can't make this stuff up. You can't ask for material like this. JP's not going to the Great American Beer Festival because he's going to Disneyland.
But, if you're not going to the Great American Beer Festival, you're going to the only other happiest place on earth.
Wow.
Oh, wow, they high-fived.
They made friends before the show.
Look at Film over there. Is all aghast and agog.
It's like vomiting in
As
the
he should be. One of our wonderful listeners who comes out when we come to Downtown Joe's, Film Lab Rat, is giving the exact appropriate response to JP missing GABF for Disneyland, and that is to shake his head in disgust.
That was what the whole chat room just did.
At your silliness.
I was already going. I already had it planned, and I would go 9 days after I got back from GABF. I need spending cash. I don't have a lot of money, and so I made a call, man. I've already been to the GABF like 7 times.
You've already been to Disneyland like 107 times.
Yeah, you know.
Good point, sir.
Really,
good point.
When you think about it for just a second, I mean, Disneyland, GABF, you're in the beer business.
You're a man. You're not 12 any longer.
Yeah, you don't have a 6-year-old son.
Yeah.
Like I do.
I can find one.
Well, I do have him on
at
loan
Disneyland.
there.
I have a trunk.
Soon.
All right.
JP, you got to rethink. We'll talk about it after the show.
Disneyland is great.
The rest
and I'm going to meet some BNers down there. We're going to go have some beers. There's a BNer that works there. We're going to go hang out. Push, hanging out with his family there.
No, you won't. Because that's afterward. That's right.
Yeah,
I thought it was during the same time.
So nobody didn't invite you or anything like that? It's not one of those situations?
No,
the
actually,
invite
there's
issue?
a few listeners we're going to go have some beers.
Okay.
It'll be good. So, whatever.
All right. Well, the rest of us will be
Backfire.
at the Great American Beer Festival, and so will one lucky listener or more beer customer. We're doing that drawing later on in today's program, so stay tuned for that. When we come back live from Downtown Joe's, we're going to be doing Beer Jeopardy. 3 contestants from right here in this room are going to compete, and next thing you know, someone's going to win themselves some prizes right here.
Nice.
Downtown Joe's, located in the historic Oberon building in beautiful downtown Napa, California, offers an award-winning brew pub experience from 8:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day. For 15 years at the corner of 2nd and Main, Downtown Joe's has been voted Best Night Spot 7 times and Best Brew Pub for the last 4 years in a row. Brewmaster Colin Kaminsky's handcrafted ales, like his Tail Wagon Amber Ale and Double Secret Probation IPA, are the perfect accent to riverside dining, live music, and a relaxing outdoor patio. Don't miss the Beer of the Month, special rotating taps, and the BN Army Member Special. Wear your BN gear, get 10% off your beer. Visit downtownjoes.com to make reservations, peruse their extensive calendar of events, or just read more about their fantastic beers. Come enjoy the fine beer, food, and music. Downtown Joe's, the award-winning brew pub where you'll feel at home.
Where were we? You stole an oak barrel from the Mist of Ravenwood, and Lord Zinfandel the Avenger is in pursuit. Do you drop the barrel and run?
Hell no. We need it for a Flinders Red. I'm gonna cast Pediococcus damnithus on the barrel.
Sorry, your ghosts are imprisoned in his winery forever.
I hate it when Greg's the brewmaster. This sucks.
What do we have here? Orville Rodenbach?
Buzz off, guy. We got a brew session going.
Is that an actual beer?
Yeah, I crafted it. I don't really use the dice anymore. I'm a 10th level beer nerd.
Are you a 10th level beer nerd? Do you get a long-lasting foam stand when you think about wheat malt? Then you're in good company at Northern Brewer. Northern Brewer has all your beer nerd needs, ingredients, equipment, and knowledge at northernbrewer.com. Plus, fast, cheap shipping, only $7.99 for the contiguous USA. And check out Northern Brewer's huge selection of dorky beer kits, including the pre-prohibition lager.
Perfect for steampunk.
And the single hop best bitter.
Now on cap and 10 forward.
Make 10th level at northernbrewer.com.
The Brewing Network, saving your life. One beer at a time.
All right, welcome back to the program, everybody. It's The Session, live from Downtown Joe's right here in Napa. It's an easy place to get to. Just come on down. We'll be here for the next couple hours. So if you're listening at home and you're in the area and you're thinking, God, I wish I was there, well, you should just be here. Come on down, join us at Downtown Joe's. Wear your BN Army gear. You get 25% off your beer. And we've got gear for sale here. So if there's any present or future BN listeners in the room and you want to put a Hop Grenade t-shirt on, you get 25% off your beers for the rest of the night. Just see the bald guy right here in the front. He's the one who looks real silly. He's got his hands up, and I'll sell you shirts for $15 or hats and all that kind of stuff. Anything with a Hop Grenade on it gets you 25% off your beer. Or if you've got a tattoo, like Bevo's going to get, then it's $1 beers. And that's a lifetime commitment right there. And I think Colin is committed to giving you $1 beers for his lifetime at Downtown Joe's, which could be 5 years or forever. We don't know. All right, now is the time in the program where we get to have a little fun. We're going to play some Beer Jeopardy. It's a game that was invented right here on the Brewing Network, just like the Internet was invented here on the Brewing Network. And we've got ourselves some BN listeners. We're going to play along with us, and we'll see how they do at their beer trivia. It's a piece of cake of a game. We give you some categories, and all you got to do is answer. It's not quite as complicated as regular Jeopardy, guys. You don't have to answer in question form, and you don't lose points by guessing. So you should go ahead and guess the wrong answer if you want to take a stab at it and not fear that you're going to lose any points. So let me introduce you to our contestants. To my right is Film Lab Rat, also known as Chris. Chris, welcome.
Hey, Justin, thanks.
Hey, I'm glad you made it out. We met you the last time you came to the program here at Downtown Joe's.
You betcha.
So it's good to see you again.
It's a fun date.
You live in the area, yeah?
109 miles east.
Is that right? So you make a nice trek to get here.
You betcha, but it's worth it.
Do you grab yourself a hotel room here, or do you just sober up and drive home?
No, I just drink responsibly.
Yeah. That's a big trek to do both ways, so I appreciate you coming out. Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
All right, and then next to Chris, we've got Mark, also known as SoCal Brewer, who's up all the way from, I can only guess, Southern California.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Mark, welcome to the program. I'm glad to have you with us. Stay close to that microphone, because you've got the worst one in the house.
All right.
Where'd you come up from?
Indio, California.
Indio. Oh, man, have I driven through Indio.
Oh, it's a lovely place. Come on.
Is it now? Let me make sure I have this right, because sometimes I confuse it. Is Indio the place that really smells like cow manure when you're driving down Highway 5, or that's not Indio?
Oh, there's no cows out there.
There's no cows?
It's about 110 right now.
Oh, okay. So the cows would die.
Yep.
All right. And are you up here just for the show, or you probably had some important things to do?
I'll put it for that. I came up a little early for the show.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I was coming up here anyways.
Did you have to ditch your family to be here with us?
Oh, yeah. I left 2 little ones back at the grandparents.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
That's good. Grandparents need time with the kids, too.
Oh, most definitely.
And you need some beer time.
Oh, perfect.
All right, Mark. So you're going to compete in Beer Jeopardy. Do you know how the game works? You've seen it before?
Very.
Heard it before? All right. And then also we've got Paul, also known as Death Rider, on the forum. Paul, thanks for coming out.
Hey, Justin. Nice to be here.
We've seen you at a lot of our Bay Area events. It's good to see you around again.
Thanks.
I want to point out that everybody on this stage is wearing BN Army gear, which brings a tear to my eye and a penny to my bank account. And so I appreciate everybody for doing that. That's wonderful. Really representing up here. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Beer Jeopardy, it's a piece of cake. We've got 4 categories. In every category, there is 4 questions, 100 through 400. You can pick the questions in any order you like. In other words, if you want to go for the gusto and pick the $400 question, you go for it. The categories today are craft beer folk, Bay Area beer bars. We thought we'd keep it local to you, so Mark, you might have a little disadvantage with this one, but just think of the shows. Think of what you heard about on the shows. Beers by state. That way everybody can play along. We'll have the same disadvantage there. And finally, beer math. And please don't ask me to clarify any questions in the beer math category. It's not going to happen. Chad might be able to help you out with that. The other thing we need to do to make sure you guys can play is each one of you is going to need a buzzer sound. As you know, the BN's a low-budget production. We don't have real buzzers, so everybody can come up with their own sound. And whatever that sound is going to be, that could be a word, it could be a noise that you make. As long as it doesn't affect punching Bevo or hurting any brewcasters in any way, you can do whatever you want. So why don't we start with Paul? And what's your buzzer going to be?
I'm going to yell Billy.
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 All right.
After my grandson.
Oh, beautiful. All right. A nice grandson buzzer for Billy. That'll be Paul. Mark, what do you think? What's your buzzer going to be?
Well, I think you got a thing for cows. I'll go with moo.
All right. A little bit of moo. That'll work. I'm going to write these down so I can... Now, folks here in the audience, don't be afraid to help me decide who buzzed in first, because I have bad hearing on top of everything else. And, Chris, what's your buzzer going to be?
Oh, how about rat?
Rat. Half of the pad, I assume. All right. All right, so we got Rat, Moo, and Billy, JP, since you're paying attention. And you're going to help me decide who buzzes in first, if you like, and we'll do that. JP's got to go, I guess is what he's saying. All right. So I gave you guys categories: craft beer, folk, Bay Area beer bars, beers by state, and beer math. I'm going to help out my brother Mark because he traveled the longest way to be at today's program. You have control of the board. You can pick anyone you want in any denomination. Go ahead, please, Mark.
Let's start with Bay Area for 100.
Bay Area beer bars for 100 points. The question is, and anybody can chime in, remember that. This Bay Area beer bar is home to one of the biggest barley wine competitions in the world. Billy chimed in. Go ahead, Billy.
Tornado.
The Tornado is correct. That's 100 points for Billy, and that gives Billy control of the board.
Let's go with Bay Area beer bars for 200.
All right, we can do that. Bevo, do you need me just to read what you're writing me, or do you need a microphone?
I'm just wondering, should I be keeping score?
No, it's okay. I've got score right here on Chad's handy-dandy Beer Jeopardy program or something that he invented or found or had somebody build. I'm not really sure. All right. Paul, you want to go with Bay Area beer bars for 200 points?
Yeah.
All right, 200 points. Anybody can chime in. The question is, this Bay Area bar holds multiple beer festivals throughout the year. Go ahead.
Bistro.
That's correct. It's the Bistro. And another 200 points for Paul. You still have control of the board.
We'll do it Bay Area beer bars for 300.
I see what he's doing here, guys. I hope you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
But there's 3 more categories for you guys to catch up on. And if things get too out of hand, I'll just cheat. Don't worry, I've done it before. For 300 points, this Bay Area beer bar is known for their bottle selection. Although, you can enjoy draft and bottled beer while shopping.
City Beer.
I don't know if that's right. Yeah, that's right. City Beer Store for Billy. This is getting ridiculous, isn't it? 600 points for Billy so far. Still has control of the board.
We'll close it out for 400.
I thought that might be what happens. This bar would be a home away from home for any monk visiting Belgium. From Belgium.
Rat.
Go ahead.
Trappist.
The Trappist is correct. That's right. Film Lab comes in with 400 points, which only puts you 200 points behind. That was a good comeback to get the last one. And you have control of the board, please, Chris.
How about beer math for 100?
All right, we're going to go beer math for 100 points. Again, do not ask me to clarify any of these questions. After 8 verses of the song 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall, how many bottles of beer are left? All right, go ahead, Mark.
91.
He's definitely better at math than I am. That's correct. 91 bottles of beer, and you have control of the board, Mark.
Let's go with the same category for 200.
All right, beer math for 200 points. Everybody can play along if you like, just to have some fun. You have a starting gravity. I don't know that Chad typed this in right. I'm going to say 10-12. Nah. It's 1.120 would be your starting gravity. 1.120. All right? What is this equal to in Play-Doh? 1.120. What is it equal to in Play-Doh?
Rat.
Go ahead.
48.
That is not right. Anybody else can buzz in.
Billy.
I hope you got this right, Chad. I hate it when you get the questions wrong. It drives me nuts.
20...
Billy.
8.
That is correct. Wow, Billy. Nice math on the fly. How did you figure that out?
Well, 25 would be 100, and then just add the other...
You just kept adding from there?
Yeah.
All right, good job. That puts you up with 800 points. Chris to my right has 400 points, and Mark's got 100, and Billy has control of the board. Yes, Bevo?
And I was just informed that if you'd like to choose a lifeline, you could choose JP or Schumann as a lifeline.
Is that right? JP or Schumann?
I don't know if you really want to do that,
Are
but
your
you
lifeline
have an
guys.
option.
All right, Billy, you've got control of the board. Go ahead.
Let's go beer by state for 100.
All right, beer by state, 100 points. The question is, this state is home to the U.S.'s largest independently owned brewery that makes world-class beer.
Rat.
Go ahead, Rat.
Colorado.
That is not correct.
Billy.
Go ahead, Billy.
Pennsylvania.
That is also not correct. I'll read the question once more for Mark. This state is home to the U.S.'s largest independently owned brewery that makes, quote, world-class beer.
I was going to stay with this state, California.
No. I think the key to this question is the state's largest independently owned brewery. And, Mark, I'm going to give you one more chance. Just because you're way behind.
St. Louis,
Just
Missouri.
give me the state.
Missouri. No.
That's not true. I can't give anybody the points. It was Massachusetts, and it's Sam Adams Boston Beer Company. Since Anheuser-Busch got bought up by InBev, they're no longer America's largest independently owned brewery. You still have control of the board, Paul.
All right, let's go beer by state for 200.
All right, 200 points. Beer by state. This state is known for its beautiful but cold landscape. Smoked porter is tops in this state. Go ahead, Billy.
Alaska.
That's right. What is Alaska? Alaskan smoked porter is, of course, what you were thinking of.
That's right.
That's a good guess. And you still have control of the board, Paul.
Let's go craft beer folk for 100.
Craft beer folk for 100 points. This bearded pro brewer from the central coast of California is known for great balanced beers.
Billy.
Go ahead.
Matt Brynildson.
That's right, Matt Brynildson. Wow, Shat really went for the California category, stacking the deck in Paul's favor here. And that gives you another 100 points, Paul. You still have control of the board.
All right, let's go for craft beer folk for 200.
All right, 200 points. This home brewer author taught us how to make great beer and launched an expert beer server certification program. He launched a beer server certification program. Paul.
Ray Daniels.
That's correct. Now, see, that's not location-centric. That's just beer geek knowledge. Nice work. All right, I'll give you the points for that. You're up to 1,300 points, Paul. And you still have control
We'll
of the board.
go beers by state for 300.
All right. Chris, are you awake?
I think so.
I'm just checking. For 300 points, beers by state. This state is home to some of the best coffee known to grow, and you can also find a nice coconut porter. Go ahead, Chris.
Hawaii.
That's right, Hawaii. It's Maui Brewing Company, and that gives yourself a few points and control of the board.
Okay, beer math for 300.
Beer math for 300 points. Chris is in second place with 700 points of his own. You can still come back here, Chris. The question is, mashing for 45 minutes at 149 Fahrenheit on a day of 98 degrees ambient temperature...
And the question?
I'm going to finish. How many seconds did you mash for? Mashing for 45 minutes at 149 F on a day of 98 degrees. How many seconds did you mash for?
A lot.
The smoke is not just coming out of my ears, folks. I want to point out that it's coming out of everybody's ears here at the table, except for Bevo, because she doesn't even listen to the program. You can hit the Chat Now button right there on the home page and join Bevo in the chat room as normal and pass along questions to us that way. Mashed in for 45 minutes. Chris, you want to take a stab?
2,700.
Well, Chad obviously did not enter in the whole number because my answer says 2, Chad, which would be something that I entered. But is 2,700 the correct answer? Somebody want to pull out a calculator and make sure that that's right? Yeah, you've done it right there. All right. Yeah, we got to make sure we fill in the complete answer on our Beer Jeopardy. That gives Chris 1,000 points and control of the board. You have 1,000 total, is what I meant, against 1,300 for Paul in first place, and Mark is in third with 100 points. My math is pretty bad, but it's going to be close for you to come back. Chris, control the board.
Beer math for 400.
All right, our last beer math question, thank the heavens above. You have a 5-gallon corny keg filled with just 4 gallons of beer, and you've already drank 8 pints. How many pints, or gallons if you want, are left in the keg?
Rat.
Go ahead, Chris.
3. That's
right. There are 3 gallons left. God damn it, Chad. You're killing me with these math questions. We can never do the math one again. You like it, though. Chad's excited about this category. And I'll tell you what, Chris, you've just taken the lead. You now have 1,400 points, followed by Paul with 1,300 points, and again, Mark with 100 points. Chris, you still have control of the board.
Oh.
All that's left is Beers by State and Craft Beer Folk.
Beers by State for 400.
All right, he could walk away with this one. Be careful, guys. This state is home to a city full of breweries and is home to the biggest American wheat producer in the country.
Billy?
Go ahead.
Oregon.
Oregon is right. And, of course, it's the Widmer brothers who produces what is it? It's just, they call it a Hefeweizen, I think. They're Widmer Hef. All right, Billy, that gave you some points. Put you back in the lead with 1,700. Chris trailing with 1,400. And let's see, at this point, Mark, you don't get to buzz in anymore. You can be a lifeline. How about we do that? Because I just want to make sure there's no ties. We don't have a final Jeopardy question, so I don't want to be stealing the... Billy, you have control of the board. You have Craft Beer Folk for 300 or 400?
Let's do Craft Beer Folk for 300.
300 points. He was the founder of Sonoma County's New Albion Brewery in 1977. Now, we've talked about this on the show. Who was the founder of Sonoma County's New Albion Brewery in 1977? This is a good one, Chad. This is your best question in the Jeopardy right here. I like it. This is good. Bevo's pretending that she's thinking about the answer. I like to see that. Founder of Sonoma County's New Albion Brewery. It looks like nobody has a guess. It's all right. Not even a guess. All right, the answer to this one... Yeah, Chad's really screwed up these questions. There's no answer to this question.
Then we were both right.
Let me read it as my producer has given it to me, just so the folks at home know what I have to deal with day in and day out. The question, once again, was, he was the founder of Sonoma County's New Albion Brewery in 1977. The answer written down here is America's first microbrewery, or craft brewery. It was a fine effort, and that leaves us with 400 points. Here's the deal. Chris, either you get this one or you lose. That's it. There's no gray area. Because right now, you've got 1,400 points, and our brother over there, Paul, has 1,700 points. For the win, this man is responsible for pioneering North America's first brew pub in 1982.
Billy. Fritz Maytag.
See, now I'm worried about the validity of this question because you effed up the last question. That's not correct. But Chris still has to get it right, technically, to be the winner. And I'll give you a lifeline, Chris.
Okay.
And Sully is your only lifeline.
Sully, who is it?
Do you know the answer to this question, Sully?
I think it's Bill Owens, Buffalo Bill.
That's not what Chad has written down here, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. Does the name John Mitchell mean anything to anybody? Yeah, Chad, you really screwed the pooch on the end on this last category.
Didn't he fly bombers?
Yeah. Nobody even knows the name John Mitchell. As what? The first pint and what was the brew pub, Chad?
He made movies?
He doesn't know the brew pub either. Oh, am I squirming right now? Thanks to you, Chad. Yeah. Someone beat up Chad for me. JP. Let's make JP beat up Chad. So here's the deal. Technically, as the score shows, Paul just won. But the last 2 questions weren't even real questions, so Chris had no chance even to come back, which makes it difficult for me to decide who the winner is and also feel like a big stupid jerk up here in front of everybody with 2 stupid questions. So, I think everybody wins, is I think what just happened.
Cool. Sounds good.
Everybody but Chad, because Chad is going to be made to feel like a jerk for the rest of the evening. Everybody wins in the room but Chad. Chad has to buy everybody in the room. No, that would be terrible. Chad he's unemployed. I can't do that to him. I can make fun of him, but I can't make him buy everybody a beer. So here's what we're going to do. First prize was a $25 gift certificate right here to Downtown Joe's. Paul, you get $25 on your bar tab tonight. And look, you brought a whole family down. You need it.
That's going to help.
So we're going to help you out with a $25 gift certificate to Downtown Joe's. You can use it tonight, courtesy of Colin Kaminsky and Joe, of course, right here at Downtown Joe's. That's $25 for you.
Thank you.
The 2 of you get to pick any piece of merchandise that I brought that you guys don't have. So if there's a shirt in there that you don't have, if there's a hat that you don't have, if you want to bring home a shirt for a lady friend, anything that you want to do, just see Schumann. And whatever piece of merch you don't have that you want, that's all yours. Thank you for playing. I'm sorry the competition wasn't a little stiffer there at the end, Chris. I had high hopes for you. I think you could have made a comeback there, but, man, Paul...
Well, how about I write the questions next time?
I think that might be a good idea.
I'll get Chad up here, and I'll give him a shirt.
And make him do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I think and now Paul is pretty good at his trivia. Between the 2 of you, you might be able to come up with some great questions that you might have actually even checked the answers for.
And written them out properly.
Yeah. The problem is Chad took a cue from me. Like, every Beer Jeopardy in history has never been double-checked by anybody. We just searched some stupid webpage that has a bunch of trivia on it, and the next thing you know, we have a game that doesn't count. So it's a lot like giving points away on that America's... What's the one with Drew Carey, where everybody just has to act that out and he just hands out points at random? That's a lot like Beer Jeopardy. I just hand out points. All right, guys, so everybody wins. That's good enough. And particularly, Paul, you get $25 right here to Downtown Joe's.
Great.
All right, thanks for playing, guys. I appreciate it. And thanks for coming out to join us here at Downtown Joe's. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to start talking to Colin Kaminsky and Jameel about evaluating beers, which is something everybody has a little trouble with, and we all want to do better. So whether it be your homebrew or the craft beer you're drinking out at a bar, you guys get to learn about evaluating beers from 2 of the best, Colin Kaminsky and Jameel Zainasheff, right here on The Session, live from Downtown Joe's in Napa. We'll be right back.
Listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Hi, this is Push from the Brewing Network, and I want to tell you about the Brewmasters Warehouse and how you can get 10% off your next order. I'm a pretty techie guy, but I've never seen an online store like this. It's awesome. Go to brewmasterswarehouse.com and click on Brew Builder. You can whip up a custom recipe so easily even Sven could do it. Seriously, it's slick. You can share your recipe with your own logo and notes to the Brewmasters database if you want. And the best part, it keeps a running tally of the beer you're building while you're doing it. Then, bam, click Buy Recipe, and your cart is filled and ready to go with helpful suggestions in case you forgot something. This thing is amazing. Brewmasters Warehouse is run the way a home brewer would do it, with great service, fast turnaround, and $6.99 flat rate shipping. Brewmasters Warehouse and the Brew Builder blew me away. Check it out today at brewmasterswarehouse.com. I'm serious. And don't forget to put BNARMY in the discount code box for 10% off your order. Check out brewmasterswarehouse.com. Cheers.
Nico, listen, our lawyers said that we had to do this for 1 hour, and after this, we don't have to talk to each other for 3 more months to the next meeting.
Kids, come on, let's get out of here.
I'm supposed to have more lines. I'm the professional. Hey, it's Sully.
And I'm Nico.
And we opened the 21st Amendment 9 years ago at 563 2nd Street in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park, to make great beer and have a great time doing it.
That's right, because to us, the 21st Amendment is more than just the right to make beer. It's the right to experiment, to be innovative, and just do things differently. And so now, we're putting our craft beer in cans.
That's right, cans. You can find our world-famous Hell or High Watermelon Wheat Beer and Brew Free or Die IPA throughout California and Alaska.
And now it's also available on draft at select accounts in the Bay Area.
So next time you're at your local neighborhood pub or good beer store, be sure to ask for 21st Amendment in cans.
Because everyone likes it in a can.
Tasty crack cans.
Tasty crack can.
Organic ingredients. Fresh, clean, good for you, good for the planet. And Seven Bridges has the best selection in the world. Everything is a click away at breworganic.com. Join the mailing list for special deals and regular updates about new products and specials. They have been brewing organic and serving organic brewers for almost 12 years. They can help you brew great organic beer. Take the National Organic Brewing Challenge, the only BJCP-sanctioned nationwide brewing competition just for organic beers. Enter the competition by October 10th for your chance to win great prizes, including a hands-on brewing experience at an organic brewery, brewing equipment, or organic brewing ingredients. Complete details about the competition are online at breworganic.com/competition. Seven Bridges is cooperatively owned in awesome Santa Cruz, California. Everyone there is dedicated to worker and people-friendly business practices and environmentally friendly, worker-friendly brewing products whenever possible. Visit today, breworganic.com.
You're listening to the Brewing Network. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck.
All right, welcome back to the program. We're live from Downtown Joe's right here in Napa. A lot of people hanging out. I appreciate seeing that. We got a lot of listeners here. Even Terrence the Black came to hang out with us, which is cool. He's probably never been to Napa before, so it's nice to see him out here hanging out. Hey, Terrence. All right, we got Brewing Network merch available. You can just see the funny-looking bald guy up here. He'll get you BN shirt. You got Hop Grenade shirts. You got BN anniversary stuff. You got hats going on, all sorts of stuff. And if you're wearing BN Army gear, you get 25% off your beer right here at Downtown Joe's, which is really all Colin's doing. He's a nice man who really pushes for people to do nice things, and he's offered you a 25% discount on your beer. So, Colin, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I like to see it all the time. Now, Colin Kaminsky, the mad scientist of brewing, we call him every time we come in here, always wants us to talk about the most intricate topics that we can get to. I think this time his first suggestion was that we cover kettle. Astrodynamics or some. What was it? What did you want to do?
I really wanted to talk about the chemistry and the mechanics of what's going on inside a mash tun.
Okay.
So there's a lot of chemistry that goes on in a mash tun, which we talk about, and we know that there's enzymes, but there's also the mechanics of how do the screens affect your efficiency and the mechanics of literally just how everything flows through.
Okay. I think you mistake me for John Palmer.
Well, and not just that, you mistake the blank faces here in the audience of people who are like, yeah, let's do some equations, Colin.
Let's do some equations.
So, but here's what I thought, and I love Colin's ideas for our shows. They always turn out to be some of people's favorite shows. I just said, Colin, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do kettle dynamics in the studio the next time you can come down to Pacheco.
Okay.
And Jameel had the wonderful idea to talk about evaluating beer. And Colin and Jameel work very well together. You two have been working together on Colin's beers, as a matter of fact, for years. You're one of the way Colin explains it to me, Jameel, is he always loves to give you his beer to help him figure out what he can do better. So you guys have a bit of a working relationship anyway.
I get Jameel in maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and what I find that's really valuable is he's 100% honest with me. And he realizes that if he gives me feedback, it's not going to hurt my feelings, that I really want the feedback. And he's such a gifted taster, and he finds things so quickly that things that I might not find for a month of tasting the same batch, he just in 3 minutes, he's got it all down. He knows that beer inside and out. And I'm always sitting there in a daze going, wow, I haven't gotten that far with that beer yet. And so it's so phenomenally valuable that even though it's only a few times a year, it's a huge influence in my brewing styles.
Yeah. I find myself crying very often when I give Jamil my beers.
Well, and when I said evaluating beer, I really meant drinking beer. Evaluating is just a code word for drinking. So I thought we'd come down here, drink some beer, and that was pretty much it. That's as far as my thought process went.
See, JP, I don't know if you figured this out, but Jamil has one hell of a shtick going on. He's got one hell of an angle. He's he comes in as a air quotations consultant,
right?
And he leaves hammered. Like that's his deal. He comes in. Let's talk about the
Hammer
beer.
time has a totally different meaning for me.
And if you follow Jamil, twitter.com/Mr. Malty, you'll understand what I mean. He's got lists and lists of the beers that he's evaluating. And I've been watching your Twitter feed for the last couple days, maybe the last week, Jamil. And I'm kind of thinking you ought to get sponsored by Firestone Walker. What'd you get, a truckload of Firestone Walker delivered to your house?
Firestone's great beer.
Yeah, I was down... I don't know what it was. I needed to pick up some beer for to send to the guy out in Texas.
Okay. That sounds normal.
Yeah.
Guy's going to help us do some interviews.
Right.
Neil.
Yes, one of our.
Leave it alone, JP.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Yeah. One of our independent correspondents. And so while I was there, it's like, I get a sale on some Firestone beers. And I'm like, all right. So I picked up some DBA. I picked up some Pale.
Yeah.
I picked up some Union Jack. I'm like, all right, well, 6-pack each. And,
I've been trying Double Jack hiding.
Do you?
Oh,
I do.
There you go.
I tried that. Matt released it at Toronado.
Right.
And I tried it there, and I'll be honest, and I talked to Matt about this. I wasn't a huge fan. It's a little big for me. It's big in every way. But what was super impressive about the beer is how much it tastes like Union Jack. So a lot of people make these double versions of their whatever single version beers, and they don't taste a lot like the single version.
No, it's a different beer.
I try to make mine a different beer.
You do? When you do? Well, see, he wanted a double jack, so I probably talked about this on the air because I was really so fascinated by it. There's a video interview of him explaining this process on the BN Army blog, which is very often brought to you by Downtown Joe's, by the way. And what he talks about is how he didn't double the ingredients like a lot of breweries do, where they just go, okay, here's my single IPA. I will double everything and we'll call it a double IPA.
Right.
What he did was just take less runnings from his mash. So he stopped his mash at a gravity that he considered it being a double jack. And then he took the remainder of the runnings and used that as sparge water for the second time that he ran through. So essentially he did the exact same ingredients and the exact same amounts. He just stopped his runnings at a point where it would be considered a double of the beer. And the result to me of the Double Jack was a beer that was, the flavor profile was really identical to the Union Jack. You could really pick it up. But huge. I mean, it was really big.
And the trying to take a beer that's that big and ferment it clean is really difficult. He does such a good job with the fermentation on that. Yeah. It's a phenomenal beer.
So, since we're talking about tasting, our friend Chris, Film Lab Rat, who just came out, he poured me this sour beer that he made that I'm enjoying quite a bit. And I don't know, I just thought I'd give you a little taste of it. There, Colin, if you want to try it too. I didn't know we had extra glass of beer too. And Chris was kind enough to bring it and pour it for us. And Chris knows from listening to the show that it can't be sour enough for me. So you bring me your sour beers and they will be drinking.
No, it's drunk.
Thank you.
Drunk.
Thank you. That.
Yeah.
And so Chris shared that with us, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. To me, I asked him what the base beer was because it seems to be a bit more of an amber and a darker beer than I'm used to seeing soured.
Right.
Unless it's a Grand Cru, unless it's like a Rodenbach, which has that a darker base to it. What do you think of that beer, Jamil?
I think it's pretty good. It's got a nice clean souring. It's got there's an oxidative character to it.
Yep.
That I'm not enamored with, but I like kind of the caramelly and the sour with the malt. I think overall sourness is a very nice balance.
Yeah. It's got that. It's a sharp sour to it, and acidic too.
I agree.
Which I like. I like a good acidic sour.
But it's a good. It's not like an acetic sour. It's not like a vinegary.
Right.
It's a good lactic sourness. It's also got a kind of an oaky kind of character to it that I also really like.
Chris, did you add lactic acid to that beer? You did not. That's just from
it's
your...
good, clean, lactic, lactobacillus or pediococcus. Lacticity, yes.
Lactacity. And anything...
I like it when my beers lactate, yes.
Yeah. And anything that we might be interpreting as oak, was there oak chips or barrels? You did do oak chips. Oak cubes you put in there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a nice touch to it. It's a good, rich flavor you're getting out of that. Can I have it back, Jamil? I just wanted you to taste it, but I want to finish it.
I'm like the last person in the world to like sour beers, but this is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's
really, Colin, you don't appreciate a sour beer in general?
As soon as it gets below about pH of about 4, I'm like, okay, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I actually I was at a brewery doing a really private tasting with a brewmaster who shall remain nameless. And he hands me his sour beer, and he was really proud of it. We'd already tasted like 10 tanks of his beer.
Yeah.
So we're a little lit at that point. And he gives me a full pint of this beer that it's got to be pH of 3.2, below wine, somewhere below wine. And he hands it to me, and I take one sip off it, and I laughed, and I handed it back.
Oh.
And he's like...
Oh, no.
I thought he was kidding.
Oh. You spit it in his face?
Yeah.
Rub your junk in it or something?
He's like, you're not going to drink it? I said, no, I'm not going to drink that.
Oh. You hurt his feelings.
I think I did.
Oh, man.
That's why I'll remain nameless.
I'm going to challenge you, Colin, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you will come around. And there will be a time in the lifetime of your palate that you like sour beers. And I'm not some palate expert. I don't mean that. I've been watching people's palate change for the last few years of the show, and then telling me they don't like things, and later on they do like them, myself included. So I'm going to say that there will be a point on this program, Colin, whether it be 5 years from now or a year from now, and you will be appreciating sour beers.
If I was trying to make this a beer that would fit my palate, I'd have to balance the sourness with sweetness, which is way more residual sugar, I think, than a beer normally has. And I like things that are dry. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think I would try to balance it with some more sweetness, and then I'd pick up some characters that I'm familiar with. But then it's going to taste like some Gewürztraminer or something.
Yeah.
It's not going to really taste like a sour beer.
Well, more like maybe more like the Flanders style.
Which has a nice sweet body to it, and but still, I wouldn't call it. You still get enough sour. I am picking up that little oxidative character in this beer now that you mention it, Jamil. But I don't
ruined it for you.
No, it's sour enough to me that I don't care.
Yeah, it's still good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Definitely good.
Which oxidative character do you get?
I don't know.
I don't get sherry.
No, it's not sherry.
It's more cardboardy.
Yeah, more cardboardy.
I apologize. I didn't know if you want to talk about this on the air, Chris. But the oxidative character is a little papery. It's a little papery.
Yeah.
It's so slight it doesn't bug me at all.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Have a little bit of aspirin kind of thing going on.
Like chewable aspirin. Is that what you mean when you say aspirin?
Yeah.
I used to eat chewable aspirin by the pound.
Acid. Yes, that's what I mean by aspirin.
Yeah. Used to eat it all the time. It was great. All right. Well, as you can guess by this discussion, as I've said, we're talking about evaluating beers and different flavors in them with Jamil and Colin. Like I said, these guys work together all the time, so we're going to start talking about the different things that you can pick up in beers. And I kind of thought, I kind of gathered that the direction we're going is to be able to figure out different flavors in the beer that might be unwanted and trying to discover where they came from. So... And by that, I don't think that every time you taste a flavor in a beer that might be unwanted doesn't make it a bad beer, and it doesn't make the beer itself not entirely drinkable, and even good for that matter. But maybe something that if you were to brew it a second time, you'd want to pinpoint the problem and make an alteration.
Or maybe even just, the flavors that you do want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, oh, yeah, that's exactly the flavor I wanted.
Yeah.
Good. That's there. That's what I was shooting for.
Great.
It's a product of my changing this or that in my process or my recipe.
I have an example of a beer that we're going to taste tonight where my yeast throws an off flavor. And it did it the first time, and I was just, really upset about it. It was like, okay, I was not looking for this character. And the more I tasted the beer, the more I really realized that, hey, you know what? I can layer this flavor into a recipe. I kind of like this flavor.
But you didn't expect it to show up in this beer.
I did not want it. When I tasted it, it was an off flavor. But once I tasted it, I did the exact same thing again, and I had the exact same level of the same flavor. And then I said, okay, well, since I can reproduce this flavor, I can layer it into a recipe.
Okay.
And it ended up driving the beer recipe into a totally different place. This is one of my regular customers' beers, who also supplied all these wet hops that are sitting around us.
All right. This is the one you poured us right here.
Yeah. And I haven't ever tasted that. I don't know what it is. He didn't tell me. He just handed me a bottle of beer.
Okay.
So I figured we'd taste it while our palates were fresh.
All right. So I just want to point out for the folks at home, one thing that Jamil is doing in tasting a beer is he's warming it up a little bit. He's covering his hand over it, over the top of it as he swirls it around to, he wants to get the aromas out of the beer, I assume, and not let them jump all over the place. Plus, I think you're maybe warming it up a bit.
Yeah, the funny thing is the bottom of JP's glass is like 120 degrees.
Mine's even hotter. So
JP
had set it on his nether regions before.
He's got the nutter heat.
I actually changed dishwashers this week.
Got the Chaco heater.
And I changed dishwashers because I hated the taste of the sanitizer. And so I would always go up and I'd rinse my beer, my glass, and then I would drink out of it.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do that for every customer. So finally I just had to tell management, look, we can't continue to serve beer with sanitizer in it. It had a flavor of roses that I just don't like. And we got a new dishwasher. The problem with it's really nice in that the glasses taste neutral, but they come out at 180 degrees.
So it's an all-steam washer?
Yeah, it runs the last rinse at 180 with no sanitizer.
It pasteurizes it,
Yeah, I had when we were in the Pacific Northwest, we went to this great brewery in Seattle, and the beer was good. We had it in other places, and it tasted fantastic. And at this particular brewery, where they were serving it themselves, all you could taste was the dishwasher.
I hate that.
And I was watching the server wash the dishes, so I knew that our glasses were coming directly out of there.
Yeah.
And it was one of the oftentimes, if it was here, Colin, or if I had gone to the 21st Amendment, or if I'd gone to one of these places where I know the brewer, I know how important the flavor of their beer is to them, I would have gone up to you, Colin. I would have said, hey, you got to do something about that dishwasher because I can tell your beer's fantastic, but it tastes like Dawn.
Right.
But I couldn't say it to this person. I had just met them. We were guests. It wasn't even my state. And I wanted really badly, though, to be able to say to him, I know your beer's good. I've had it before, and you're ruining it with your dishwasher.
Yeah.
You can't wash your glasses that way.
Well,
You know how I deal with that when I'm having to talk to a brewer is, they'll say, oh, and would you like a sample of such and such? And I'll say, yeah, but could you rinse the glass first?
Yeah.
And
at least that's subtle.
Either they get the hint or they don't.
Well, the odd thing is, out of all the people out there that are in the profession of making beer and being critical about the beer that they make, most people who are making beer commercially, they're very critical about the beer they produce. They want something, high quality, of the best quality, not just high quality, the best quality possible, and really want to serve something that is, beyond reproach. The problem is, a lot of those guys, it seems like the majority, get offended if you mention anything that is a flaw.
They do.
Now, there's people like Colin who's like, oh, if there's a flaw, tell me about it. I'm going to figure out, I'll listen to what you're saying. And
there's better tasters than me, and I have to recognize that. If I want my beer to get better, I have to recognize that.
Well, one of the things Colin and I were talking about was that before the show was that every place out there, they're not serving perfect beer. Every establishment you go to isn't serving flawless beer.
Yeah.
They may every once in a while have a beer that is flawless. And just, God's gift to beer, and it's a 50-point beer and all that. But in general, they're serving really good beer. And there's a couple of little things that you might tweak to make it just perfect.
Yeah.
And that's going to depend on the tasters, different opinions. And if you get to that point, you're great. That's all you really need to do. But I think the difference in the people I have a lot of respect for are the ones that you can speak to and say, for my palate, I don't care for this, or I would do this, or, maybe this, that, or the other thing. And they could tell you, that's really what I'm going for. I think that's the way to go. I think my customers like that. But I appreciate, that you can let me know.
Yeah.
And the ones I have no respect for are like you mention something,
they get offended.
They get offended, and then it's like you're dead to them. It's like, all right,
but it's so hard, and I understand where people are coming from, because I mean, here you've put so much of your life into making something that's really special, and whether you're a home brewer or a pro brewer, it feels the same. I mean, you've designed your equipment, you've done all of these things, and you've tried to do the best you can, and somebody comes up and goes, "Oh, that tastes just like green apples."
Right. Okay. Well, I'll put this out there. All right. Now, don't go up to somebody and say, "What do you think?" and hand them a beer. Instead, say, "Isn't this great?" Or
I agree with you.
But if you say, "What
Don't
do you think?"
yes,
right.
And I do
give me some clue that you don't want to hear the truth.
The problem is that
and I'll go ahead and lie to you.
I think there's a couple things going on. For one, we are here in the U.S. We're a culture of everything is fine, and so when somebody hands you, it's like when they go, "Hey, Jamil, how you doing?" They don't really want you to answer that question.
They don't want to hear my miserable life.
They expect you to say,
truth.
"I'm fine. How are you?"
Right.
And so the same thing when they hand you a beer and they go, "What do you think?" They just expect you to say, "Oh, it's so refreshing."
Jesus Christ, that's wonderful. Yeah.
This is problem number one,
yes.
I think.
I think you're right.
That these are rhetorical questions that we ask.
Yes.
How are you doing and what do you think are rhetorical questions. The second part, I think, and I've noticed this being part of the BN, in a culture of craft beer where a lot of us are home brewers, or at least we consider ourselves craft beer aficionados, we drink a lot of it, sometimes I feel like a lot of these brewmasters hear from every person who sits at their bar, "Oh, I think it's this, I think it's that, I think it's this, I think it's that."
Yeah.
And it's only been, so I've experienced it where I've sat down, and I've done it with Doc before. I've sat down, and it wasn't even me. It was Doc who picked up something about a person's, it was their hef or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it was their lager. And the brewmaster happened to be there, and he said in a very nice way, I'm a home brewer, and, I picked up a little note about your hef that was, that maybe at whatever the commentary was, and the guy was instantly offended. He didn't want to hear it.
Right.
He gave him an answer that pretty much said, "Yeah, whatever, the beer's fine." Was essentially the answer. Well, within about 2 minutes, we let him know that we were with the Brewing Network. It just came out. And his entire attitude changed, and his response then to Doc's comment was, "I think you're right, and I kind of picked that up in the beer also." And so what I mean is not that being with the Brewing Network gives you...
So you're saying nobody recognizes me, and that's what the fundamental problem is.
The problem is that... it just goes to prove, I think, that so many people are giving comments about the beer that maybe a lot of brewers aren't willing to take it until they find out that it might be from a credible source.
I think there's a lot of people giving opinion as to what they like or don't like. And that's, who the hell cares?
Right.
It's fine if people like something or not. That's fine. But if you're talking about, the brewing process and all that,
educated criticism,
right? I think it's a little different.
I agree with you. I think that. You see what I think? Maybe 10 people come in a day with what they would think are educated criticism,
with a bunch of BS,
and maybe it's not.
Yeah,
and so it might be hard for some brew. I'm not trying to make excuses for them. I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of a Colin who has to listen to 10 people a day tell me.
But I'm not talking
but
just wandering in and then
the best feedback though that you get is the guy that's sitting at the bar. He's been at the bar every day for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And every day he orders a tail wagon or whatever his flavor is, and he says, "You know what? This batch tastes like this." Mm-hmm. That's sometimes the best advice you ever get.
Because that's his beer.
And he knows nothing about beer, and he doesn't even know how to put it in words. But you've made a change that's just big enough to get across the threshold of where he's going to have to say something.
So I would throw this out there that, if you are going to some place and you're ordering a sampler and you've got your opinions and all that, if they engage you in what you think about it, that's fine. But if you're going to go off on some critical rant, it's best, maybe kept to yourself.
Unless they asked you, like you said.
But if somebody comes up to you and when I hands you a beer, somebody, who knows you, and says, "Hey, what do you think?" That's kind of where my question comes in. give a signal that you don't want to really hear the truth. I mean, there's only a handful of people I actually can just tell the truth to.
What do you think about asking in response to that? Although it automatically
do you
says,
want to hear the truth?
Yeah, something like, "Hey, I just want to know. Do you really want to know what I think, or do you just, or is this conversation?"
Well, you
although I guess you're already setting up that you have negative comments when you ask that question.
You said to preface yourself, and I do, and I have with you, with Justin, and I have with Jamil as well, and with a lot of other people that I really value their opinion. Yeah. And that is, I'll lay down a taster flight of my beers and say, my ego is not involved in this at all.
Right.
You need to give me your exact honest opinions.
Yeah.
Because that is the only way I'm going to grow. Okay, let's taste this one first.
And then you find he's gone and slashed your tires when you're ready to leave. I mean, that's just terrible.
Well, in practice, can we all talk about what we think about JP in an honest way?
Oh, no.
You already do. Well,
the chat room says JP needs Xanax.
Yeah.
They've all agreed that he needs Xanax.
Yeah, well, I need a bullet.
JP, do you go to a bar and give your opinion about a beer?
No, I would never do that. Yeah. I would never do that. I would never go to a brewery and offer my my opinion on a beer, because
unless you're asked.
Unless I'm asked.
Right,
and then even then, it depends. I am kind of sensitive to other people's reactions, but at the same time, they're putting out a product, and it's just like with something else that we talked about recently. If you don't like criticism, do not put a public product out. Do not brew it for yourself. If you can't handle that, then don't put it out there. But and then if someone gives it to you, they're going to be well-meaning and they're trying to learn. Don't be a jerk to them.
Well,
and at that point, and then if you fired, like if you told me that my beer, there's some acid, and if I was a jerk to you, then you're not in the wrong. I'm in the wrong. So if any brewer does that, if any brewer is a jerk, I don't care if you get it 100 times a day. Part of your job is public service. Part of your job is sales. It is not only brewing beer and going home.
Well,
but I would say
brewing is an art, and anytime you're making any art, you have to deal with the public criticisms. I mean, do you think everybody walked up to Picasso's work and said, "Hey, that's the greatest thing I ever saw"?
Yes.
Now what the hell is that ear doing up there? Yeah.
Now we appreciate it as beautiful work.
How come she has 3 eyes? What the hell's the matter with you?
Right.
Why didn't she have 3 breasts instead?
Right. Well, so I would say, if you really don't want to hear somebody's opinion on your beer, don't ask for an opinion on your beer. If you're going to ask for an opinion, expect it.
I agree.
If you're given an opinion, start off with the good stuff and say, hey, I really like this. I drink multiple pints of this. Here are the kind of little things that I found that, keep it from being less than, a flawless, awesome beer.
Yeah.
And maybe then it helps. But, some people, even then...
Okay, I feel like we're writing a book on 19th century beer etiquette here.
Well, I think it's important because, to me, I just was going to answer that I think you're right, and I think that this is part of the culture that has to be changed, where we ask rhetorical questions. Well, I think we should start getting away from doing that and start saying what we mean. And if what we mean is, like you said it right in the beginning, Jamil, either hand us a beer that says, "Don't you think this is just wonderful?"
Right.
If that's how you feel about
then
it,
I'll think about what's wonderful about it and agree with you on those points.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or ask me, what do you think? And I think that we should get down to the language and stop asking rhetorical questions.
Instead of changing that, because I don't think it's some people it's a rhetorical question. You need to change the mindset of the person asking the question. If you don't want to know about it, then don't ask, what do you think?
Yeah.
But don't expect it to be a rhetorical question. Don't ask it as a rhetorical question. So it's not an individual fault, nor do I think it's a cultural thing. It's a human thing, and I think you can't change that. You can't change the rhetorical question, but you can change your expectation of handing a handmade product to someone and asking their opinion on it. Expect feedback.
Well, before
or get out of the business.
Before the show,
get out of the business.
Chris handed me a beer and he said, "I got a problem beer to share with you," and he told me right off,
and
it's got a problem.
Great.
Yeah. Great.
Give me more.
Bring it on. Can I get a full pint of that?
Yeah.
But, and we talked about what was wrong with it. We talked about, all the process. We talked about, the physics of ultraviolet light. We talked about a whole bunch of different things. And we really didn't talk about what was actually good about the beer, but we focused on one little aspect of it, and a thing that he already had figured out. And it was actually quite educational for me. He's like, look, this is what happened from, this kind of process. What do isn't that interesting? And it was actually, very educational for me that, to get a chance to taste something. And he's like, I've been struggling with this for years. I finally figured it out. And so he was sharing that part of it. I thought that was great. And he didn't have any, didn't seem offended that I agreed with him that the beer had a problem. So
and then we all get to learn from the process, which is going to be the point of the show, is a few of us putting ourselves out on the limb and letting everybody learn from it. So this beer that we've had in front of us, we got to go to break soon, but Colin had poured us a beer from a listener here today.
I actually kind of like it.
It's a nice beer.
Yeah.
What style would you call it? Colin, I don't think told us. So before you do that,
didn't tell me.
Okay.
IPA or double IPA or something like that, because it's got a good citrusy, piney hop character, and I
don't get alcohol heat though, so I would say IPA.
I do though.
Do you get some?
I get some Fusel-y kind of hot alcohols in there, so I'm thinking, it's somewhere in that range. So maybe IPA, maybe double IPA, and a nice kind of malt character to balance, and good firm bitterness.
I've tasted at least 50 of this brewer's beers, and this is by far the best one he's brought me. This is phenomenal. For his work, this is the best he's ever brought me.
Now, are you saying that because he's like 2 feet away from you?
Actually, he's not even listening. He's sitting there at the table talking, and he can't even hear
But the people listening don't know that.
All right, so I pick up something, and I think that the malt in it is nice. I don't pick up the heat either, like Colin didn't pick that up. I think it's smooth enough. I pick up a little bit of that plastic hop character.
Do you really? You're that sensitive to it?
Yeah.
I pick up a little
roadkill he's been battling.
Yeah, I picked that up where it's a little plasticky, not in aroma as much as flavor.
You think it's those high resin, high alpha, a lot of high alpha hops, a lot of resin?
No,
I actually am not savvy enough to know where it came from, so that would be my question: is if there is a plasticky flavor to it, where am I getting that from, or maybe I'm just insane?
I have a new theory. And
Moonmen
make plastic.
I was talking to one of the Ralphs of Hop Union, and I can never separate the two because it's Ralph and Ralph. So I'm talking to Ralph at Hop Union, and I told him about your complaint that your descriptor was plastic.
Yeah.
My descriptor is rubber, and I'm seeing it in a variety of beers from 08 Harvest. And I'm seeing it in some of the local homegrown hops.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from, and I talked to him, and he said, if you're looking for the maximum alpha acids, you harvest about 3 days later. And these are all high alpha acid variety hops. But if you're looking to not have that character, you got to harvest a little bit below that peak. So when you get somebody that's harvesting for alpha acids and wasn't able to sell them into that market, you get that rubber character.
Okay.
And he knows more about it than me, so for now I'm taking his opinion, and I'm going to see how it works for the next few harvests.
Yeah. JP?
Oh, I was going to say, I figured it was a combo of like citrus hops and piney.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a flavor
combination.
And like I said, I think it's too many high alphas with citrus as well.
I agree with JP. If you're talking plasticky, that's kind of what I would attribute it to. But I also get kind of a
well, now I get fish and chips.
Roadkill stanky, rawhide dog chew.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get a little bit of that. Yeah.
See, and that's closer than plastic to the quality.
By the way, how do you go?
So you're saying
rubber from I really like it to roadkill stanky?
Roadside? I don't even know anymore.
Maybe I like roadkill.
Yeah, and I wouldn't.
Maybe I like a rawhide dog chew every once in a while.
I would not be surprised 1 second if you like roadkill, Jamil.
Oh, yeah, possum pie.
No, skunky.
So rubbery.
Yeah. So what do you think it comes from?
Hops. It's hop direct.
Yeah, hops and fermentation and other God knows what compounds get in there.
Well, help me be more specific. I know you don't like to we talked on your judging show how you don't like to say, oh, you did this wrong in your process because you don't know how it went. Right. If it were from fermentation, what part would cause flavors like that? a temperature issue,
more in the flavor
an
than the aroma.
underpitching issue, a dry hop?
Well, and it might be lysis. It might be.
No, because that's more propane, garlic.
Right.
Do you get the garlic?
Yeah, but you also get a real garlicky, oniony from like Simcoe.
Yeah. Well, Simcoe, I think, is the worst hop for this quality there is.
Yeah.
And the wrong bag of Simcoe is unusable right now.
I think it's a little oniony, garlicky.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some Simcoe in here.
I wouldn't either.
There isn't, because he grows his own hops, and you can't buy Simcoe. It's the Columbus that he's got. It's actually was sold to him as Zeus.
Yeah.
So it's a CTZ. It's the Zeus he's got, and I think he harvested late.
Right. Well,
every time he adds it, it throws.
And the thing is, until the sample got to be like 80 degrees,
right? You didn't get any of it.
Get any of that, so it's fine.
So if we went with Colin's theory, you might say that lower alpha hops, even though you're trying to do a double IPA or something like that, might get you away from the plasticky, oniony, garlicky flavor.
I think it's just fine the way it is. I wouldn't change anything.
Okay.
If you're chasing that flavor, look at your CTZ and Columbus Zeus Tomahawk, and look at your Simcoe first, because I'm finding that the bags themselves smell like that flavor.
Yeah. I personally hate Simcoe.
I agree.
I absolutely 100%. Love 07 Simcoe. I've got some beautiful 07 Simcoe. I hate 08 Simcoe.
Unless I
love me some Simcoe.
Do you?
I like.
A lot of people do.
I like it stanky.
I don't know, unless it was a beer I liked and I didn't know what hops were in it. I don't know I've ever had a beer I liked that had Simcoe in it.
You don't like Pliny the Elder?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I don't dislike Pliny the Elder, but it is not my go-to beer. Absolutely not.
That's the beer that made Simcoe famous.
It has a lot of hop characters that I don't want to taste. Yeah,
I like it that way. I like it to almost sting with the... the resiny stank of I want to just totally over the top. If you're gonna
you're such a hop pervert.
Well, that's the thing. If you want like clean, wonderful, gentle hop aroma,
what is with the fingers delicately dancing?
Because he's a hop pervert.
Because I'm feeling the hops. Yeah, I mean, don't go with an Imperial IPA. Don't go with a double IPA. Don't go with a Pliny the Elder.
Yeah.
If you want something where the resin is just like stinging the cut in your mouth, where you want just like you're after a night of drinking Pliny, you reek of hops the next day. You should wake up, and when you exhale, you should taste hops.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. When you want the hops, go with the maximum hop character, the maximum hop flavor. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
It may not be for everyone, but same thing. I like it on the extreme for the malts too. I want it to be so freaking malty. It's like you can barely swallow it down. It's so huge in the.
He wants to be tied up and pelted with hop pellets
with flavor
out of an air gun.
I think we should help him with that.
Yeah, flavor.
I'm going to make you a hop pervert shirt.
Okay, I have to say that he just said you can't swallow it so huge. I can't let that one go.
That's a good IPA to him and a good man. For
good time. Good time
right.
and a good drink.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're live here at Downtown Joe's. Come out and join us if you're in the area. It's a great time. We're going to be hanging out for another couple hours. When we come back, we're going to try some more beer. We're going to evaluate some more flavor profiles with Jameel and Colin both. So hang out with us as we taste as much as we possibly can and teach you how to do the same. It's The Session, live from Downtown Joe's.
Listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Is everything ready, Igor?
Yes, Doctor. All the preparations have been seen to.
Good. Soon the whole world will bear witness to my genius, for we are about to breathe life into into a creature that once ceased to be and shall be once again.
Doctor?
Damn it, Igor. Never cut me off mid-laugh.
Sorry, but you were getting carried away, and
How dare you! This is the pinnacle of my life's work. Everything my father and grandfather worked for. Everything they...
Just a conical.
You were no fun. You know that? Throw the switch. Just a conical. It's alive!
More Beer is scaring up some great deals this month on their very best gadgets, like their carbonating keg lid, stainless steel mash paddle, and their frighteningly durable stainless quick disconnect sets. No matter how you brew, More Beer has what you need to reanimate your brewery. Bring your gadgets to life this August at More Beer. White Labs, your source for maltose mowing monsters, announces the White Labs Platinum lineup for 2009. Looking for out-of-the-ordinary yeast to make the best beer possible? The Platinum strains from White Labs are only available for a limited time and make your homebrew stand out. Through February, find Australian Ale, Essex Ale, and Dusseldorf Alt yeast. March and April, it's Nottingham Ale, Abbey 4, and Mexican Lager yeast. And May through June, don't miss Premium Bitter Ale, Belgian Wit 2, and Belgian Bastogne Ale yeast. Keep up with all the great yeasts in the White Labs Platinum program at whitelabs.com, where you can also join the White Labs Customer Club. Brew with the freshest and most unique yeast with the White Labs 2009 Platinum strains. White Labs. It's all in the vial. BN Army members, are you looking for a discount on hops? Keep listening. Nico's Homebrew Supply at nicobrew.com has hops by the ounce and by the pound. Choose from varieties like Amarillo, Centennial, East Kent Goldings, Hollertower, Simcoe, Summit, Tomahawk, Warrior, Willamette, and more. And adding new varieties all the time, many for less than $20 a pound. Whether a couple ounces at a time or an 11-pound bag, all hops are shipped vacuum sealed and frozen straight to you. Nico's Homebrew Supply offers store-wide $5 flat rate shipping and won't waste your money on unnecessary overhead or advertising. They're going bare bones and passing the savings on to you. The staff at Nico's Homebrew Supply loves to brew and is committed to keeping homebrewing affordable and accessible to anyone who wants to join in this great hobby. And for a limited time, use coupon code BNARMY at checkout for a Brewing Network discount. Visit nicobrew.com. That's N-I-K-O brew.com for your hops and more. nicobrew.com, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Hilo, what's it feel like?
Take awesome and multiply it by 2.
Spraying live beer radio all over your face.
Can't get any better than this, baby.
It's the Brewing Network.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the session, and we're live from Downtown Joe's today in Napa, courtesy of Joe himself and Colin Kaminsky inviting us out here to hang out. Getting some beers poured for us right now. If you're wearing your BN Army gear, it's 25% off. And, you know, I know you listeners at home, you kind of think, hey, you know, I don't get to be there. It sounds like a lot of fun. But I just do want to point out that a lot of fun of these remotes is not us bozos sitting up here on the stage doing the show.
What?
Although, come on, that is great. It's getting to meet your fellow BNers, the BN Army, hanging out with each other and talking to the guys that you see on the forum all the time. So if we come to your city, if we're in your town, if you're anywhere near when we do these remotes, you come out not only to support our sponsors, but to support your BN Army, because a lot of the fun I see happen is the BNers getting to meet each other. So I do appreciate everybody coming out here and hanging out and shaking hands and having a beer together. That's a lot of the fun.
Or shaking whatever.
No one's met me yet.
Nobody's met JP.
Nobody's met me yet.
Which is weird. They've all walked right by you.
I know.
I don't know why they didn't meet you.
Oh, here, Jameel, taste this. Oh, here, taste this.
Oh, Colin,
hey,
you're
Bebo.
so great. Thanks for having us.
Hi, Schumann. I met you 5 years ago, and the thing. And do you remember when we did and laughed a lot?
Schumann's not even on the show.
I know, but
actually,
people remember him.
When I walked by that table over there, they said, "Is that JP?"
And then they
I
moved
said,
further
yeah.
away.
And then they decided not to talk to you. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just sitting here playing solitaire on my phone. I'm approachable.
Well,
approachable Well, I don't know if that's really the descriptor I would use.
Did anybody notice that right as JP started catching the most flack for his awful personality, it was the time that Jameel invited him to come do Brew Strong with him. He thought, hey, Jameel, I think JP could really use... Now, I didn't have this conversation with Jameel. I just picked up on the fact that it was...
Yeah, you're real quick.
The timing was right there, wasn't it?
Did you hurt yourself when you thought about that? I got the email. I was like, oh, well, he obviously heard last week's show.
Actually, I hadn't.
See?
Well,
see, JP?
Of
course you don't.
Thought,
you hate yourself.
It'd be nice to have you on.
And it was nice, wasn't it?
No, we're trying to do a mix of mix
good and bad radio
of guests.
Yeah,
and you can have some brainiac scientists going on talking about what's happening in the mash tun.
Who would that be?
Or you can have somebody talk about brewing beer.
I brew beer.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know what's going on in the mash tun.
I thought you were excellent on the shows. A little more practical and a little more. Here's what I've experienced. I've tried. Like we talked about fermenters. You talked about the different kind of fermenters.
I am the everyman brewer.
And you've tried like 8 different kind of fermenters. Yeah. So it was actually very useful to have you on. I thought you did great. And I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much.
That's great.
That's great.
Everything's great now.
Well, we're holding hands under the table right now.
Right. All right, so here's what's happening. So Colin's going to pour us some beer, but before we get into the beer, JP and I were talking on the way up to the show today. Speaking of JP having some contributions to this program.
Yeah!
And, there's a thing we always do with JP, and we say, JP, we know you're brewing. How come you never bring us your beer? And his answer is always, well, there was something wrong with it. I didn't like it. I wasn't too happy with it. So I asked JP to think about some of those beers.
Yeah, definitely. I've said it on the show a few times. It's intimidating because Chad's brewing really good beer now, and then you have Mike, a tasty, who can
do no wrong.
Yeah, and it's coming in, and then the only person I haven't had beer from is Jameel in a long time. And
yeah,
and then here's my crappy beer. Here's my cauliflower beer.
All right,
what is this?
So here's what I thought, Jameel, that I would have JP describe what he didn't like about the flavor of his last beer, because JP knows how to brew. He's got his process down.
Yeah.
He's doing the basics right.
Yeah.
And so I think this is where we come into flavor evaluation, where you want to tweak some things and figure out what happened. So, JP, why don't you tell us about your last failure in beer? In beer.
Oh, I was going to say
sex or friendship or work or
in beer, and we just tell us about what the beer was and what the failure was, and then maybe these guys can ask you questions working backwards to figure out what would have been done differently.
Can you just before I start, can you call it my next room for improvement instead of my
I'm
failure?
Sorry, not your last. Your next could have been just a bit better.
My next ability to do better.
Yes,
to improve.
I apologize.
The next gift that your taste buds gave you.
Yeah. So tell us, what was the beer and what happened?
I made like a strong Scotch ale, and
it's a rough style.
It was very good. I thought the base beer, but it tasted overwhelmingly like cotton candy and a little bit of bubble gum.
Yeah. Okay.
But mainly
too much
cotton candy weirdness. I had no idea what the hell was happening.
So Scotch ale, all grain brewer,
too much oxygen.
All grain,
10-gallon batches,
too little yeast, too much yeast.
Oh, could have been either
one of those four.
Well, because it was a 1078
fermentation temperature.
So a huge
and I pitched 4 vials of White Labs.
No starter.
No, I don't do starters. I don't trust myself enough to do starters.
What fermentation temp?
101 White Labs, California 01, and then the temperature was 66.
Too much oxygen.
Too much. He aerated with too much oxygen. Is that what you mean?
How do you do that?
I only hit it for like a minute.
Is that what you mean? That he aerated too much?
Could be.
Yeah. I think
it's related to growth. It's related to yeast health. It's related to these flavors that you're getting.
Well, I'll tell you what I did.
So bubble gum's a yeast health issue?
Not necessarily, but
it is now. I guess.
What do you think?
Going based on without tasting it?
I've never gotten it in anything I've ever brewed, and I'd love to make it if I could use it consistently.
Here's the big problem, I think, is people will describe a beer to you, and you get email, and it's like, well, my beer tastes like this, it tastes like that. And what's the problem?
And they
It's
send
like-
you a sample. It's got rope growing in it.
Well, there's no sample. You don't get to taste the beer. If you could taste the beer,
Don't talk about my samples.
then you could figure it out. But the problem is that you've got to trust that their description is the same as what your description would be. So if I'm tasting a certain thing, I know what the changes I would make to fix it are. But if somebody else is tasting something, are they tasting and describing it the same way that I would describe it?
descriptors,
right. And
Well, that's
maybe-
fair, but in this case, JP's palate is refined enough
But
that
again,
I think
our
if you
descriptors
tasted
may
that.
be slightly different.
Okay.
I'm not saying his palate's not perfect, but I'm saying he may describe a certain taste. Like we were talking about, plasticky rubber, rawhide chew.
Yeah.
And
and we're
I
all
think we're all
talking about the
kind of
same flavor.
thing.
I think we agree.
Just interpreting it different.
Right.
Okay, but you're still saying. Let me ask you this: he talked about pitching 4 vials and no starter. Is that acceptable?
How many gallons?
10.
10 gallons. And what was the starting gravity?
78, I think it was.
Yeah, so that'd probably be okay.
Still think that's okay. So we can do
Just
that.
depends on the vials. I mean, he's got access to really fresh vials. So.
Yeah. I mean, we get our shipment on Friday, and I usually snag them on Saturday morning, so they should be.
Is that over pitching?
Could be. Well,
I've never had it in my lower gravity beers, and 1078 is the highest gravity beer I've brewed in a long time. Actually, you know what? It was 1094.
And just so people really understand how difficult this is, anytime you're above about 1050, 1055, there's a struggle that's going on with your yeast. Your yeast doesn't want to do it, and you really, to make a consistent product when you're starting with those higher gravities, whether you're doing an IPA, a double IPA, a barley wine, whatever it is, a Scotch ale.
Yeah.
Scotch ale's even one of the harder ones
You've
because
got to hold it down.
It has no hop.
Put a pillow over its head to muffle the screams.
Yeah.
And then do what you have to do.
I'm used to that. He's a pervert.
I'm almost there.
He's a beer perv.
Yeah, well.
It isn't as easy as you guys think. I've got a couple of homebrewers that come in every Friday, and they always bring me these beers, and they always want to make like the 90-minute IPA and the 120-minute IPA clones, and I'm telling the guys, make something that's about 1040, 1050. And do it a bunch of times. And when you've got that down, then start trying to make the high alcohol beers, because then you'll know what's part of the process and what's part of the yeast signature. But no, they come in with these beers that are 1100 or 1120.
That's just not-
and they're like,
That
well,
shouldn't
what went
happen.
wrong in this? And it's like, well, where do we start?
Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to continue on what else might have happened with JP's beer aside from? I mean,
From
over
me brewing it.
aside from JP. No, I think you're a good brewer, JP. I think you're the perfect example because I like to have all different levels of brewers on this show, and I think you're a good example of a guy who knows what he's doing, and with a. It comes up with different flaws that just take a few tiny tweaks, and I think it's the perfect example for this show.
No, I agree. He's an excellent brewer.
Yeah,
And but not everything turns out perfectly.
Right.
What was the problem?
And so these are the answers I'm looking for. Even though we can't pinpoint it, we can talk about the different things that might have happened.
It's a pitch rate oxygen thing.
The last thing that I did with it,
It's definitely what it is. It's one.
And you
one
say the
aspect of
same profile can come out of either under oxygen or over oxygen? Because you mentioned both.
Right.
It's a yeast stress
Too
issue,
little,
I
too
think.
much. Same for pitching rate.
So if I wanted to make bubble gum, how would I do it on purpose?
Hubba
Bubba?
Put some Hubba Bubba in there.
Right. I don't know. You might try. I don't know.
Have me brew a high gravity beer for you.
Right.
Yeah, well,
but have JP show you.
I've seen Vinny do it pretty consistently in some of his Belgians, where there'll be a bubblegum background.
Yeah,
that's
certain
really
yeast,
nice.
certain yeast will do it. I mean, the other possibility is you had some wild yeast in there.
Well, I'll tell you what I was attributing it to. What else I've
That's
done
another possibility.
that I don't do normally is I rushed it out of the fermenter. So I think I crashed it too soon, and I don't think it had a chance to clean up. Do you think that could be a part of it?
That definitely could, and you'll get something more along the lines of acetaldehyde or diacetyl
with
things like
O1.
that. Yeah, definitely acetaldehyde.
Yeah, that's the one I get if I crash early with O1.
You want to let
which
the,
is
the
green
beer
apple
kind of clean
for
up.
those people who aren't into the
Well,
chemistry.
see, green apple, maybe JP's been chewing a lot of green apple bubble gum.
There
you
you
have
go.
that there. You know? Bubblicious?
It's true. Maybe so.
Juicy
green apple. He does hang out at Disneyland a lot. There's a lot of candy there.
There's a lot of candy. And a lot of ways to get rid of candy.
I had a home brewer bring me the classic example of a green apple beer. And it was great. It was just so strong, and they hadn't detected it. And they gave it to me, and I put my nose in it, and I said, green apple.
Oh.
And they're like, what do you mean? I hadn't even tasted it yet.
And did he ask you, what do you think of this beer as he handed it to you?
Yes. He was
Okay.
literally bringing it in so that I
Good.
could do a rigid evaluation.
Good.
So he could approve his abilities. And he handed it to me, and I said, oh, green apple. And they hadn't even tasted it yet and realized that it had green apple. But it was so strong, it was like having a Jolly Rancher in your mouth.
No, yeah.
And it's two guys that always brew together, so they collaborate. They're both really smart.
One was a Jolly Rancher? What?
Well, he owned a farm. He wasn't always jolly, but, you get the idea. Well, let's try this. Let's move on then to this beer that we have in front of us. At least now you guys can talk about the flavors.
Hold on a second. I just want to tell you something right now.
Sully!
That it's so awesome. Schumann right now, totally hitting on a waitress right now.
Is he giving it?
Yeah, right
but
around
has he
there.
given the tour yet?
What's that?
Has he given her the tour yet?
No, I think he's trying.
He's getting close
But
to the
it's
tour.
Awesome.
Have you seen the fermenter?
Wait,
I
what
work
is she
here,
wearing?
dude.
What's that?
What color shirt does she have on?
I don't know, but you can probably hear us.
It's
But-
no longer on.
There was one girl when she walked by, and I was like, she's pretty hot.
We explained this last time, Colin. If Schumann is giving somebody the tour
Right,
of your
I know.
brewery, just let him go.
Yeah. I showed him where the ladder was so he can get in the
Oh,
grain
good.
room.
No, you're
and in the
helping.
grain room, you have stackable furniture.
Perfect.
Anyway, it was kind of like a flash report right now.
I like it, Sully. Thank you.
The Sully news feed.
It's a way to break it up for us, too. I do appreciate that. All right, everybody keep your eye on Schumann. We'll see what happens. So we have one of Colin's beers in front of us, and at least now we can maybe make a consensus or not about the flavors and talk about if there's anything going on with this beer.
Okay,
Good,
so
as
the-
Jamil said in the beginning, good or bad.
So let me preface this beer. The reason why this beer exists is because I'm trying to replace Bud Light or Bud with it.
Oh, that's the idea behind this one?
Yeah, so I'm making an ale, but I want it to be so light in flavor that somebody who walked in and didn't know we were a microbrewery could say, hey, well, what do you guys make? And we could say, well, what do you normally drink? And they say Bud Light. Well, why don't you try this one?
Okay.
And I call it an American wheat because it's 20% wheat. But I generated, the first time I made the recipe, I generated an off flavor that I decided I wanted to keep.
Okay.
And so one of the reasons why I picked this beer for us to taste is because if you can do an off flavor consistently enough, it becomes a flavor and not an off flavor.
I think I've picked up an off flavor already.
That's just me.
Oh.
Sorry.
But I want to give the expert, Jamil, a chance to talk about it.
I'm actually getting
Jamil,
two
yeah.
in this. Both of which I think are appropriate to.
I get
because I don't want my expert opinion to sway Jamil.
Yeah, 'cause that's gonna
it
happen,
happens
right?
all the time. And
That's like when someone uses a big word and they go, "You don't even know what that means." Yeah, I do, but you say it first, so I know that you know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, the major flavor I'm picking up is pepper, like a hot pepper spice to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially in the finish.
I do in the finish.
I'm getting
yeah.
a hot spice, and it's not a hot alcohol. It actually tastes spicy to me.
Yeah, that's a lingering bitterness that
Which could be a phenol.
could be a phenol.
Peppery is a phenol.
Yeah.
See, that's why I didn't want to throw it out first, Jimmy, because really the opinion that counts here, we want to talk about what you're picking up in the beer, and I throw pepper out there, and now you got to think about the damn
I'm
thing.
looking for pepper.
But I like it. I think it's a good call.
Well, I get maybe a bell pepper, like a green bell pepper or a white pepper or something like that.
To
but-
me, it's straight
but not like a
pepper. It's
chili
hot.
pepper.
I get chili pepper and black pepper. Even.
I get a little acetaldehyde.
I do too.
I
I
definitely
get
get
a
that,
pretty
yeah.
strong acetaldehyde.
Yeah.
I also
Is that
get
the flavor you're going for?
and banana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, banana. huh?
Banana. Well, maybe.
So acetaldehyde was the accidental
bread.
flavor that you decided
And-
to keep.
And banana.
And both of them.
Yeah.
And you decided to keep them
I decided to keep them, and it took me a while to figure out how I was creating them. And it turns out with this strain of yeast, the ratio of glucose to dextrose can set that off flavor, and I can actually adjust it by adjusting that ratio.
Okay.
And if I switch yeast, it all goes away. It's just specific to this yeast.
Yeah.
And if I make a higher gravity beer, it goes away too.
The only time I get the banana is so I've had the sample of beer. It's a few seconds afterwards, and then I force air back through my nose with my mouth closed, and then I pick up the banana. Because all the receptors that you have, the majority of what you can detect is all in your nose.
Okay.
Right? It's all in the sinuses. It's all in that upper area where it's aroma. Your tongue really doesn't pick up a whole lot. So really, what you want to do is, after you do your tasting, you do your aroma, you look at the appearance, you do some more aroma, then you take a taste, and you're tasting the flavors. But after you've swallowed and your mouth is clear, close your mouth and force some air back through your nose, exhale through your nose, and you'll pick up all sorts of additional aromas and flavors and things that you didn't pick up the first time.
Okay.
That's because you've heated it up, and now you're forcing it back through. You'll really detect a lot more.
Sometimes I like to put it in my mouth and when I'm
rub it around and
let
take
it sit there
and out, in and
then
out.
sniff the glass at the same time while it's in my mouth and when I'm swallowing.
Oh, yeah.
I do that
smell
too.
the glass too.
Yeah.
The major thing I get off this is a real grainy kind of character, which I like. It's got that kind of biscuity, grainy kind of.
There's a bunch of
tells
Munich
you it was
in
made
there.
from malt.
There's a bunch of Munich in there.
Uh-huh.
And so it's 20% light Munich.
Uh-huh. And I like it. And then that green apple flavor kind of lends to a crispness, I guess. Overall, kind of adds a kind of a character to it.
I decided that it just made it feel a little less American. The green apple and the banana, it just made it a little bit. It's not really a Belgian.
Yeah.
It's not like a wit. But it's a little more like a wit than if I didn't put any wheat in it and I fermented it out clean California.
Yeah.
And it was I wanted to take some really delicate light flavors and make it a complex beer.
I get some honey.
That's probably from the Munich, the light
That's
Munich.
from the honey wheat.
I would have felt like such a jackball if he said, "Oh, well, because there's honey malt." I'm like, "Oh, and I taste hops too."
Actually, I have done this recipe with 13 pounds of honey malt, and I do like it.
I would agree. I get more honey than I do banana, and far more honey than I get pepper.
Oh yeah,
wherever the hell that came from.
I get pepper. Yeah. I get it in the finish. Like
my throat's on fire. There's so much pepper.
And I think JP has it right. I get bell pepper.
Yeah, bell pepper, dude.
Yep.
JP has it right.
Yeah, that's what I get. And I'd never noticed it till he said it. But like right now, my glass has been empty for 30 seconds.
I kind of get the pepper down in like the deep throat region,
Yeah.
Way back in.
Oh yeah, it's down there.
I don't know what you mean.
Not
it's
like in the front of the
deep
throat, but when it's gone past.
That's called the Lovelace region.
The Lovelace region.
It's definitely in the Lovelace region.
Yes.
It is, and I don't know if I like that. And I've never noticed it till tonight.
So what would cause that? Is that a hop character?
No, it's a phenol, I think. I think you guys
phenol
are right.
or maybe related to tannin somehow. Or
well, how would you get rid of that but keep the green apple?
The green apple is a yeast-derived thing. That happens because the fermentation happens so fast that the yeast is still active when there's no sugars left.
Yeah, if you
fermentation
too
just
fast,
goes bam.
Acetylaldehyde is like an intermediary in the process of making ethanol, and if you're just blasting through it, it's just it ends up leaving behind a bunch of acetylaldehyde.
This beer has about 30 hours of active fermentation. It just goes bang.
Same thing for chilling too early, or you want to pitch the right amount of yeast. You want to pitch at the right temperature, right kind of oxygen levels, and give it plenty of time.
If I chill too early, I get diacetyl. I remove all the diacetyl from it, but I still leave the acetaldehyde, which is sort of interesting.
So I wonder if you still, take up diacetyl before they take up the acetaldehyde, or
I think it's this recipe that does it. I think it's the ratio of the dextrose to the glucose to maltose ratio. That's what I think it is.
Might be.
So that's something you build in your grain bill?
Yeah, I put in 20% dextrose.
Yeah, okay. I think this beer would go great with tacos, Colin.
I think it would too.
It's a taco beer
with a spicy taco.
Spicy tacos.
Yeah, it's got to be kind of peppery, you know.
Of course.
Or grilled oysters with hot sauce on them.
Yes.
Or tacos with a bunch of cilantro in it as well, you know?
Yeah.
Like a pico de gallo with a lot of cilantro.
A wiener.
Which our pico de gallo has tons of
It's not
cilantro.
wienery.
Yeah, there you go.
It is pretty wienery.
It's not wienery.
It's
It doesn't
wienery.
have anything wienery.
There's a. I know.
Colin is the one who helped me. I talked to him about wienery first.
Yeah.
At any, I don't know if you remember, but before I introduced wienery to you folks, I ran it across Colin.
Right.
And I said, Colin, what do you think?
You ran your wiener across Colin?
Well, I
What?
said I think I'm gonna start
We have
pushing
videos.
for wienery to be a flavor profile. And Colin looked at me like he's looking at me now.
Now,
Like he wants to
are you
kiss
talking Oscar Mayer? Or are you talking like dangling down type of wiener?
I've gone
Whatever
over
you
this.
want.
I'm talking, when I say something tastes wienery, you all know what I mean without even describing what it is. Everyone goes, yep.
Okay, well, you know.
That's wienery.
All right, so let me know when you taste some wienery, and then.
All right.
Well, no, don't let me know when you taste. Let me know when you taste a beer that has a wienery character.
I will do so.
And then let me know.
I will do that. And you'll go, you know what?
Yeah.
He's right.
That SOB.
Now I'll
You'll be writing to the BJCP.
I got two wienery, prospects here. Well, I mean, one is, the junk, and one is like Oscar Mayer.
Right.
Okay, so
Well,
I don't know which one you're talking
mine
about
is a beer
yet.
that has so little flavor that
You'll know it when you taste it.
Well, then the only reason I would is if you're talking Oscar Mayer. Yeah, I wouldn't know the other one.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, you know what? Deny it as much as you want to.
Everybody knows me. Everybody's had their hand down their pants and then seen what was good, what was doing down there. That's wienery.
Colin, you mentioned Gewürztraminer. This has like a white wine aromatic to me right now. Can I say that?
Kind of that green apple thing in Gewürztraminer. Yeah.
Smell that. Tell me. Swirl it around and tell me you don't. Just smell it. I'm not saying drink it. I'm not saying lick the glass. Just smell it.
I have.
Do it now.
Now, Colin's got some other beers we need to try here, too.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Grainy.
No Gewürz? Yeah, all right, fine.
Yeah, grainy honey.
Yeah.
What makes a beer grainy? What is that flavor profile
Grain.
from?
So no.
We
here's
all
my
put
question.
grain in our beer,
Grain.
smartass. Too much grain, too little grain. That's a dumb answer. I hate to call you out on that, but if you're going to be a wise ass, we all put grain in our beer. What makes a beer taste grainy?
When I use
Different
the word
grains.
grainy, I mean oversparged. Does that taste oversparged to you?
Meaning that you ran off for too long?
Yeah.
And so the gravity got too low.
Well, this gravity starts so low that it finishes really low.
Okay.
So this is a classic.
I worried about that in my last
You start
brew.
getting more flavors from the husk and for the the
ash.
Yeah.
From the
You
roasted
get more
malt.
of that, but when I so
Is it oversparged? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it. I think it's too much milk.
But I think different malts from different maltsters produced in different ways have different characteristics.
Right.
And if you use a malt that produces a grainy flavor, so, a lot of the Continental Pilsner malts absolutely have that. They have it so strong that it's readily apparent.
I love all those flavors, and I like the nuances of them.
Yeah.
I like biscuit. I like there's a lot of nuances in those flavors, and I try to layer them together. I like them a lot.
British pale malts, they tend to have some biscuity, and the
This has
Continental
no British
Pilsner malt,
malts in it.
they'll have the grainy. So really, the Continental Pilsner malt's really.
So this is
if I'm
Fireman
doing
Pilsner
grainy.
malt.
Yeah, there you go.
It actually has English red wheat. It has Fireman's Munich Light, and it has dextrose, and that's the grain bill.
So that's why it's so grainy.
So if we wanted to
Continental Pilsner malt mainly.
if you wanted to reduce it, then you would add in other malts.
No domestic two-row.
Okay.
Doesn't really have much of a grainy
I've never used
flavor.
that. What's it taste like?
It's very nondescript.
I've never used it literally.
Yeah,
you're such a British brewer.
It doesn't have a lot of flavor to it. It's you don't get these grainy.
It tastes
you don't
like
get the
Budweiser.
biscuity. You don't get any. You get is really clean malt. No grain character to it.
So
that's why I do those BYO articles. I'm constantly writing use Continental Pilsner malt for
to get flavor,
to
right?
get that grainy kind of And I'm like thinking people must be tired of hearing me say this over and over. But if you, and people email me, oh, I'm going to use domestic two-row. Will it turn out the same? No. it's based on the maltster.
Okay. So is Colin right in saying that even with the perfect malts, if you wanted to reduce the grainy, you'd use more 2-row? Does over-sparging produce a grainy flavor?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially if you're too hot.
But it tends to be more tannic.
Yes.
So.
And how do you what is a tannic flavor?
Tea.
More like tea?
Tea bagging.
Oh,
different kind of
why
tea
didn't you say so?
But that's also a precursor to wienery. So,
got it.
But you can also extract tea flavors from your hops, so you have to be careful. I wish I had the last batch of IPA I made available to us. During dry hopping, I extracted tannins, and it made it very tea-like. And it was very interesting as a case study for over extracting out of your dry hops.
Okay. So my Mirror Pond clone that I just did for your show, Jamil.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's going. We'll see. That remains to be seen.
We'll call it the Mirror Pond recipe for now.
Recipe, exactly. Thank you. Perfect. Well, and one thing I was concerned about is as I got to the end of my sparge, I wasn't done with my... Not only was I not done with my calculated sparge water, so it was still going, but I also hadn't reached my volume in my kettle. But the wort coming out, well, it was pretty watery.
Pure water.
I mean, it looked watery at the end, so I stopped it because my concern was talking and listening. I didn't taste it, no. But I don't know that I would have tasted what I was looking for.
Yes, you would have.
For one, I was told very late in the game that our refractometer didn't work, so I couldn't do a gravity of how that was coming out. But mostly, I knew that if you sparge for too long and if the gravity gets too low, that you're pulling tannins. So essentially, I stopped it.
Dependent.
So right, there's three measurements that you want to make at the end there.
Okay.
And I never make them.
Length, width, and girth. No.
and I'm going to tell you this.
3 strikes, I'm out.
I'm going to tell you right now that there's 3 measurements you make, and I never make them because I know my recipes well enough to know what's going on.
Okay.
The first thing you want to do is measure the gravity. The next thing you want to do is measure the pH. And the last thing you want to do is taste it. And all 3 of those are giving you similar information.
Okay.
And
what would it taste like for me to say
astringent?
Astringent.
Okay.
Tea, like tea leaves.
Like tea.
Like weak tea.
Let's assume that we weren't taking these measurements. If you saw it coming out like water, like I did, would you have stopped it as well, Jamil? Because at first it was down in the kettle. I didn't know, right? Like I have my hose down in the kettle, running off. So I pulled it off just to see what was doing, and I was like, "Wow, that looks like water to me."
I cut it when it tastes like tea.
What would you have done?
At 10:08, and I cut it at pH 5.6.
That wouldn't have happened to me. I mean, I wouldn't have put wort into like a half a carboy of Star San. I wouldn't have flooded the carpet with porter.
Listen, we're not all as creative as I am. I understand that.
I suppose I would have stopped. Yeah.
Okay. And your concern would have been the same as mine, tannins, at that point?
Yeah. Well, but, if you're just going to add water to the kettle to get to the gravity you need,
which I did.
Just add water,
Which I did. And that's why I stopped it. I thought, okay, now I'm going to take a pre-boil. I'm going to see where I'm at. And I ended up, I was over on my gravity, so I added water.
Okay.
And,
But if you would have tasted it tasted like tea, then you wouldn't have added it. If it didn't taste like
sweet,
tea, or even neutral, then
I could have kept going from my mash tun.
Right.
And you probably would have gotten a little bit more efficiency.
That's good to know.
And a little bit more flavor.
But if it didn't taste like much, or it tasted astringent, then water is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because
strike water.
You're not doing any good for your beer at that point.
Yeah. All right.
I agree.
That's why no sparge is,
How curious are you as to how my quote-unquote clone is going to turn out?
I went on the forum and I said, I have faith, it's going to turn out great.
Yeah.
And Tasty was giving me crap, like always.
You're nuts. Well, my fermentation has been going fine. Just to rest, I know that's important. 65 degrees, like our brewmaster said it should be at. And, well, I don't know. We'll see. I did a starter.
I'm 90% confident that it'll be cloned.
Man, I'm not. I missed my mash temperature. I did
great.
that stupid runoff.
You're not. Thanks. Thanks. I appreciate that.
I need,
good work on that clone brew.
I need you to keep the faith for me.
90%,
even if I don't have it.
95%. I think it'll turn out just fine.
All right. We'll see how that goes. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we've got some more of Colin beers that we're going to evaluate. We're going to wrap up the evaluation segment of our show. Then we've got a trip to the GABF to give away. I've got some Belgian candy sugar to give away, which we're going to give away to somebody here in the room who came out to Downtown Joe's. We do that every week. And
if you have 50 pounds, give it to me. I'll use it.
50, I don't have 50 pounds. Otherwise, I would. I might be able to help a brother out. But, I don't know. I don't think we'd fit 50 pounds in the Cadillac. See what we can do. All right, hang in there, everybody. When we come back, a little more Collins beer and some flavor profiles, and also giving away a trip to the GABF. And Bevo's very excited to have you here. Just hit the Chat Now button on the homepage. She'll send your questions to me. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of their 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Their Williams German Pils is mashed with pure German Moravian 2-row barley malt for a light blonde color and malty crispness you just can't get from other extracts. Or check out their unique fermenters, draft beer equipment, bottling aids, and more. They even have their own line of precision hydrometers. Go to williamsbrewing.com to browse their vast selection and enter promo code BREW at the order checkout for $5 off your next order over $50. Orders placed by 3 p.m. ship the same day. Again, go to williamsbrewing.com and enter promo code BREW at checkout for $5 off your next order. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
You're listening to the Brewing Network. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck.
Welcome back to the session, live from Downtown Joe's right here in Napa. 25% off your beers if you buy some BN Army gear and show up at the place. That's courtesy of Colin, being a nice dude. So get yourself some BN Army gear. It's available right up here at the stage. If you see the bald guy sitting right there with the Brewing Network t-shirt on, you can get yourself a Hop Grenade t-shirt or a Hop Grenade hat or any of those things. And all those things are also going to be for sale here at Downtown Joe's. So if you ever come in, maybe you haven't gotten yourself some BN Army gear, but you're a Brewing Network listener, don't be afraid to ask for Colin. He loves to meet home brewers and, of course, Brewing Network listeners. Buy yourself a shirt, and I'm sure he'll be kind enough to give you your 25% off, even if you buy the shirt right here on location.
He'll take you up in the grain room, and
he will. He likes this grain room. Yeah,
it's really funny. Home brewers are always really shy. They're like, "Oh, well, I'm a home brewer," and I'm always like overly gregarious with them, and I don't think they realize how sincere I am.
Right.
Loving to have homebrewers walk in the building. And I have a standing offer that I will make to anybody who's listening, anybody who walks through the door. I don't care what level of knowledge of beer you are. If you want to come in and brew with me, all you got to do is call me up on a Monday morning and say, hey, what day this week can I come brew with you?
Yeah.
And you can come in and brew. I'm going to put you to work, and it's not going to be the easiest day of your life, but you're going to get uncensored access to the brewery. Whatever it is I'm thinking, whatever it is I'm doing that day, we're going to drink some beers, we're going to have lunch, we're going to have a good time.
You should have done that instead of waiting for Chad.
See, Bevo, you could have learned to brew right from Colin. And not only is that a very generous offer as a guy who's running a professional brewery, but you've put your money where your mouth is. You've had some of our most retarded listeners come and brew brew with you. The Woods came and brewed with you just a couple of weeks ago.
In fact, if you're drinking the double IPA tonight, it is the Double Wood Double Secret Probation IPA.
Is that right?
That's right.
No, I haven't tried that yet, but I'm going to have to try it tonight. Kim and Andy both came and brewed with Colin and did that. Now, Kim, I just want to point out real quick, Bevo, she filled in for you on one of the days that you mysteriously didn't make it to the program to run the chat room.
Right.
And I'll say the listeners really enjoyed Kim's presence. I mean,
She had a lot.
She was
She's a
nice, and she was nice to the listeners.
I'm totally nice to the listeners. Oh my God, I told you. Shut up, JP.
That's not what they said.
This is how nice Kim is. When she came in to brew with me,
she gave me a sponge bath.
She brought in her Drunk of the Week medal and let me wear it all day.
Really? Oh. See, and I owe Colin a Drunk of the Week medal too, so that was nice of you to do, Kim. Yeah, she did great, and we thought for a second like, well, I don't know, what does Bevo do that Kim doesn't do?
The amount of questions that were passed over from the chat.
A lot of questions.
Amazing.
But we did end up discovering the Bevo factor. It was cleavage. It was cleavage gives you the job every time. And so
I'm allowed to wear the Drunk of the Week medal
Kim's
again.
sharing her Drunk of the Week medal right now.
Yeah.
So your chat job is secure because we tried to evaluate what's missing, what does Bevo offer that Kim doesn't, and it was cleavage.
Clevo.
It was Clevo.
Well, and also Kim doesn't have a retarded husband that no one likes.
There's that. Everyone likes Andy, whereas nobody likes Sam.
Yeah.
There were these things.
In fact, boo for Sam.
Oh, come on. I like Sam,
We
too.
know you like
Get
Sam.
here, Sam's got himself a glass of beer with a big, giant-ass quarter piece of an orange stuck on the rim.
You had an orange on your beer, Sam?
It wasn't just a slice of orange, just like a quarter of an orange hanging off the
Sam!
rim. I think they did it on purpose or something.
And you wonder why no one likes him. And every time we say nobody likes him, he raises his hands like he doesn't know what we're talking about. What?
Okay, so I have a confession to make. I actually, when we pour that wheat that we just got to taste, it's a requirement that they put a slice of orange on it.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Per your judgment?
I didn't put it there.
See, it's not his fault.
But you didn't take it off
Colin,
either.
why do you do that?
He didn't take it off either.
We wanted to separate it from the house beers that we make that actually have more flavors.
I'm going to call bullshit, Colin. You are trying to accommodate the the real craft beer people who expect to have a little lemon or orange on their beer.
I sell more of my wheat than any other flavor by about 2%.
If you put an orange on it?
No. My wheat beer is the best-selling beer in-house by about 2%. It's about 23% of my sales.
So you're genuinely deciding that an orange assists in the enjoyment of this beer?
What we decided was what was the worst of evils, a lime, a lemon, or an orange. And we decided that an orange was the worst of the evils.
Or a turd floating in it. I mean, you might as well have put a little turd ball in there.
I don't mean to be hard on you, Colin, but I'm one of these purists that decides that you don't need to add vegetables or fruit to the rim of your beers,
unless you're adding Sam to it,
to encourage the flavor profile.
You know,
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
And it actually, I'm the same way as you. I think beer should be 4 ingredients. However, that's a wheat beer, so it's already got 5.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
So that being said, wouldn't the same thing be said for Sully's watermelon wheat?
It would be said. In fact, I enjoy Sully's watermelon wheat, and every time I order it, I take the watermelon off the rim of the glass.
See,
I
think
don't need it.
The
It's got
watermelon
it
is
in
the
it.
Best part.
It's in the.
I like to dip the watermelon in the beer and then eat it.
Because
Hi, Terrence.
I hate to say it, but it's because you're a chick.
Well, you know what?
Mom's a chick.
So, wow, she got you there.
Pulling the mom card there.
She does have me there.
In Colin's defense, that's fine. You put it on there, but Sam didn't take it off. He kept drinking it with it in
Right.
there.
I eventually took it off of there for him.
Yeah.
You took it off, Jamil?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Come on.
I like
It's like
that.
an hour later, I'm like, come on.
I love it. Jamil walks by and goes, "This is inappropriate."
What the hell, dude? You're embarrassing us.
The Jamil Gabat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so the next beer that we're going to
All right,
taste.
what is in
This
front
one
of
needs a slice of orange.
Oh, no.
The next beer
Right,
we're going to
JP?
taste, it actually didn't ferment the way I normally expect it to ferment.
All right.
Okay, and so in my palate, I think it has an off flavor.
Okay.
Now but I also decided,
Which
as
beer?
it is,
Do we want to say what beer it is, or we don't want to say what?
it's the current batch of Tail Wagon Amber Ale.
Okay.
Oh, I just have a pint of it.
By the way, it's one of your favorite beers that you make. One of my favorite beers that
There
you
you
make.
go. There
That's
you go.
what I meant.
You
to say.
got it. You got it.
It's definitely my number 2 selling beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it came out, not the way it ferments normally, it was a crisis.
Do you want to talk about what you thought was wrong with it, or just hand it off to Jameel and see what he
Jameel
thinks?
and I already had long conversations about it while you were talking with Sully.
Okay, so you both know what's
I'll take
happening.
a stab.
All right.
Yeah, let's
JP?
do that.
Like getting some flavors in there.
Good.
Yeah.
Orange circus peanuts. You know the squishy.
I do know what you mean.
That's the overwhelming
The
aroma
candy.
that I get. Yeah, the candy.
Oh,
It's,
the big fluffy
The
candy.
big fluffy
orange,
candy,
right.
orange
with a little
peanuts.
bit of like orange,
Very
like
good, very
orange oil.
How about orange wine?
I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, JP.
No, I
good, right?
agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
He mouthed to me. He said orange when he first.
How about
licked it.
orange
And
rind?
then orange rind, yeah, like
Yeah.
well, like fresh, like aromatic orange
Same,
oil.
real orangey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it now? Before we talk about what might have caused that, is it an offensive flavor to anybody? Is it something that you
No.
would say, I don't like this beer because?
It's quite pleasing.
Well,
Okay.
the interesting thing is, I wouldn't call it Tail Wagon Amber, but I'd say Belgian Amber, Orange Belgian Amber, or something. You know, Orange Belgian Twist or something.
So it doesn't. It no longer fits into the amber category because of it. You'd
Well,
want to call it
it's still
something
the amber
Belgian
category, but I wouldn't call it Tail Wagon Amber because it's not the Tail Wagon Amber. Right?
Okay.
It's got a phenol to it as well.
Yeah.
That's
It's got an orange twist.
Do either one of you want to take a stab at, unless you've already talked about it with Jameel, Colin, what causes that flavor?
Jameel, and I want to hear all of the things that Jameel would say that could cause this flavor, because I know which one did.
Can
because
we
of my
put JP
experience.
on the spot first and see what
Yeah,
he
put
thinks?
me on the spot.
Put
me on the spot.
Well, I don't know if you've
brewed-
had enough of the regular one to know the difference, but
I can guess.
It's supposed to be this amber style. It's got this orange character. JP, what would you think in the process might cause a flavor like that? I think it's a good exercise and just trying to go
I think it's a great
backwards
exercise, yeah.
and figure out why we're tasting what we taste. It has nothing to do with Disneyland, JP. So if that was,
I was going to say too many Tivas in the brew house, but that's not it.
too many earrings in the brew house, maybe.
hey, I wear earrings.
We're totally just effing with you right now, Colin.
Too many frosted tips. I love Colin though.
We love to mess with him.
I've had a lot of his beer tonight. You know what? I have no idea. I have no idea.
That's fair.
I would
I wouldn't
assume
either.
It would be some sort of fermentation issue.
It is,
but
yeah.
I've never tasted a beer with a fermentation issue, and I've had a lot of them.
Okay.
That have come across as like orange oil like that. If I had to guess, maybe some sort of underpitch or some stress. Obviously, I guess, right? But maybe something like that, like some sort of
That's a really good call.
underpitch.
So my call on it is it's underpitched.
Oh,
yeah. So that's my call on it. But Jameel gave me a bunch of other options. Some that were mash tun related. He gave me a bunch of other options that we might have extracted this phenol.
What would be in the mash? How would this be a pre-ferment issue, though?
Well, phenols exist in our grains, and we can extract phenols from our grains if we're not careful. So when you're looking for phenol characters, you have to look through the whole brew house. And
then this is a
Jameel,
phenol character.
you need to back me up here because you know more.
I have
about
no
this.
idea what you're talking about.
You have more of this science behind you than I do.
Right,
so.
right. So, my first thing was, well, all right, the existing brewer yeast doesn't have the gene to produce the phenol, so
like Levi's or
right. So
Guess
it's
or
not
something
coming
like
from the yeast, fermenting hot or cold. It doesn't actually produce the phenol. So it'll produce the orange esters, perhaps, or some ester in combination with hops, combination with something else. or with the combination of the phenols producing that orange character. I mean, the orange character is there. And, part of that may be fermentation, underpitching. I think that's definitely a part of it. But the phenolic character that's there has got to come from either a wild yeast or, from some sort of ingredient. It could be water. It could be grain. It could be, it's some ingredient that you put in, or it's from like a wild yeast. This is really the only ways you're going to get a phenolic character in.
So this is not an under or over pitching issue. It's an extra.
Well, no. Let's look at what happens when you underpitch.
Right.
You don't have enough cells to really do the job.
May not be outcompeting that wild yeast.
Okay. Maybe there is a wild yeast that happened to pick up in there and finish what the yeast couldn't handle.
And is that's kind of what you're thinking too, Jamil?
It could be.
It could have been a perfect pitch, but something else in there
right.
also.
Well, right. It could have been,
From my notes, I know it was underpitched.
The water filter didn't do its job, or oversparged and weird pH or some weird mash chemistry. It's such a complex possibilities, and then flavor itself is a very complex thing. The flavors you get in beer aren't just A plus B equals C. It's just a whole dynamic, and this orange flavor that we're getting. Who knows exactly, what compounds are creating that sensation.
By the way, can I point out that I guessed correctly what Colin was thinking.
And you may point that out.
And there was no breakout of uproarious applause or congratulations.
No,
there was,
in fact, it went entirely
I reached over
unnoticed.
and grabbed your junk.
It wasn't. It was.
What more do
there
you
was
expect?
nothing. There was
JP,
nothing.
take a Xanax.
Yeah.
Is it going to be orange flavored?
You realize you're only going to get appreciation on Brew Strong. So
I'm just saying.
Brew Strong at Kenya Brew. That's where you should be. I'm
just saying.
That's where you can appreciate.
I made an accurate guess, and it was the
nobody
true
cares.
reason. I know, and nobody cared. What am I even doing up here?
Weird. All right, so we've got this flavor to it. Now, Colin, you're admitting to that you've underpitched on this beer.
It was underpitched. I had a fermenter that I thought had about 3 gallons of yeast in it. I really needed 2 gallons to do what I needed to do. I didn't have any other sources of yeast that weren't just all the way in suspension. And I went to harvest this yeast, and I only got a gallon out. And I'd already pulled 2 gallons out the day before, but normally I have like 8 gallons to deal with at the bottom of a fermenter. So I only got a gallon out, and I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really know what to do about it, and didn't have a lot of options. So I pitched it and crossed my fingers. I tasted it during fermentation, and I started to pick up this flavor, which is one I've run into in the brew house before. So I discarded this pitch and decided not to reuse it.
Okay.
So there wasn't another generation after this, because I don't know if it's a mutation for sure. I don't know if it's a wild yeast that's over competing my yeast. I don't know if it's just my yeast becoming unhealthy. All of those things are possible.
You might find out in the second brewing of it, now that you've changed the yeast, that if it's still there might be some contamination,
I bet you it's back to normal, and I would go with the wild yeast theory on this one. That would be my first take on it.
Well, hell, you could have pitched it in your wheat and then not have to put an orange in Sam's beer.
There you go.
And the funny thing is, I actually still kind of like this beer. I like the overall kind of balance to it. It's good.
Yeah.
And I do too, but normally when you taste this particular brand, it tastes like the C150 that you guys are using in that clone over there. It tastes like raisins. And I'm not getting that raisin quality. I'm not getting that roasted quality. That's all being covered by the fermentation qualities.
Yeah.
I kind of like it too. No orange required is what it should be called if it sticks around.
Okay,
by the way, did you see Roy Orbison just walk by? I don't know if you guys saw that.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody did.
So now if I could do this consistently, if I could do this consistently, we could call that a flavor, and we could build a beer recipe around it.
Right.
I'm not convinced I can do it consistently, so we're going to call it an off flavor.
Okay. Well, and this is the point of the show, is to especially since this is obviously one of your best sellers, almost your best seller.
Almost, yeah.
And so discovering that if something happens that is an off flavor all of a sudden, even if it's not a bad flavor, it's off from what it normally is, trying to discover where that came from. And this is I think the whole point. It's a tricky thing to do. And even a brewer like so JP, he brews a lot. We don't talk about it all the time. The guy brews a lot. So to figure out these flavors that come through, he's like I said, he's a perfect example, and you're a perfect example. Where did it come from? You didn't change anything.
Right. Other than the pitching rate.
Other than your pitching.
Yeah.
And this is why you think, and as Jamil said, so maybe this competing, this off yeast.
Yeah, that was something he and I chatted about before we started.
I'm curious to try this again. I'd like you to follow up with us about how this next batch goes.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a proper pitch and see if the flavor's still there. Otherwise, I mean, let's say it is there for a second. Now you got a whole other problem. You got to figure out where this contamination is.
Well, then I'd really start looking towards the grain and the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I just realized is I rarely brew the same beer and the same recipe consistent enough to figure out where these flaws are coming from. Because I'll brew one, maybe I'll get this orange flavor, and I'll brew a different kind of beer, and I won't see it for another 6 months or a year. So this is kind of almost like a nice lesson in. Let's say I'm a home brewer and I brewed this exact recipe and I got this flavor. Brew it again. See if you get it again.
Well, and
you know what I mean?
So in all fairness,
don't just move on.
I brewed 100 batches of this recipe.
Yeah, but that's my point. So you know kind of how it should taste. You know all about it. But
I have some really big expectations about what it should taste like.
Yeah, and I've had it before. It's a great beer. It's really good beer. But as a home brewer, there's not many of us, I guess, maybe 5-10%, I would guess, that consistently brew the same beer over and over and over again.
Well, that's something that I've been fighting for ever since I've been involved in brewing. And what I would like to see is a standard kit. And you call up More Beer, and they give you a pale ale kit. And it's got everything you need to brew a pale ale. And you brew it over and over again until you can do it. And you enter it into competitions. And there's a category. I started with this kit, and I got this beer. How does it compare to everybody else's beer? And you do it over and over again until you get good scores on that one beer. And then you brew other beers.
Here's the deal with that. I agree with you 100%. It's the way to learn it and learn your process.
It's the way to make better brewers.
But only you and Jamil, you're the two people on this planet that are going to do that. The rest of us would be bored to death as home brewers because most of us are never going to produce commercial beer. We're brewing what we... You see what I'm saying? In theory, it's such a great theory. But we're never going to do that. You and Jamil were going to do it.
I had to do it, actually. The first 12 batches of beer I brewed were the same recipe.
But you
because I was
were working for a homebrew shop, or you were commercial at the time. You were here.
Yeah.
You see, this is my point. And we've talked about this before. Only change one ingredient. Don't change anything. Master the whole thing. And I love it. And I think it's a great concept. And if there's any brewers out there that want to take the next level, Colin's giving you the best advice in the world.
Don't change anything ever. Try to do the same thing over and over again.
But the other 99% of us are going to fall asleep during this process, or at least lose that love of this hobby, right? So,
I think we ought to give people that succeed a medal.
Not a Drunk of the Week medal, but something maybe meaningful.
Yeah, something meaningful that I hit this style.
Right.
Well,
and I hit it.
Good point.
At least if you brew it, and if you have an off flavor, then brew it one more time just to see. Maybe you don't have to brew it 10 times in a row.
Right.
But at least...
But that's the thing.
I would like to see that.
If we didn't know this was an off flavor, if we didn't know what this was supposed to taste like, would we have said, oh, well, that's just this yeast signature? Or would we have said, oh, well, that's the... Because this uses Chinook, Cascade, and Nugget for hops. Would we have just said, well, that orange comes from a blend of the hops?
We might have said that.
We might have.
We would have been jerks.
And I wouldn't have been smart enough to know that it wasn't. If it was the only time I'd ever brewed this recipe.
Yeah, all right, let's taste our last beer we're going to talk about tonight, and then we're going to wrap things up. I got some stuff to give away, so we got to get to that good fun, too.
I think I need some more glasses. Zach?
No, I think we've already... Andy Wood had come up here and given us Kim Wood's first beer. It's her first lager, rather, not her first beer. It's her first lager, I think, is what we have in front of us.
Really good.
This dark mess right here.
Is it a Schwartz beer? Is that what I was led to believe?
Brewing classic styles.
It was
Fine-
your
fine
recipe.
book. Yeah.
And I think, if I remember right, Andy said it was her first lager that she's done.
Really well done. I would drink pints of that beer. I think
I wouldn't.
The only negative I could find was had a little bit of a fruitiness in there.
Yeah, definitely.
But other than that,
well, they're the woods. There's going to be some fruitiness that comes through.
I would say maybe
thought it was really good.
Maybe a little too much dark malt, like it's a little too dark malt astringent on the back. Like
it's too roasty for a Schwartz beer, but that's kind of like the American Schwartz beer thing. If you've read my BYO article. And you can sign up for BYO on the Brewing Network.
You're Captain Plug. You're not Mr. Malty. You're like Captain Plug.
Captain Pluggy. Yeah,
they
that's
must
me.
pay you better than they pay me.
I had a recipe there for kind of an Americanized Schwartz beer, which is kind of roasty and bold and big. That's how Schwartz beers are kind of seem to be accepted around the U.S. and do well in competition. And then there's like the Monshoff kind of Schwartz beer, which is really Munich-y and malty and kind of more like a Munich Dunkel. And then there's the Kostritzer, which is really like a Pilsner that's black.
Okay.
So there's kind of a range of what people call Schwartz beer.
And this is that more rich, roasty,
kind of Americanized version. I thought they did an excellent job of it. I thought Kim really did a very good job of brewing this.
I think it's a great... now, at the risk of sounding like I'm looking for a reach around, Kim, this is a fantastic tasting beer. This is a really good... I would vote this high on my list of beers I had tonight.
I think it's one of my favorite beers I've had tonight. I really like it. My concern of it, and I'm trying to get another sample if I can get Andy to pour me one. Oh, it's a different beer.
It might be this one right here.
No. It was a touch too fruity for me to call a lager.
Okay.
And that was my only complaint about it. It was a fruitiness I really liked.
So where do you think that came from? Is that a fermentation temperature?
Or pitching rate.
Yeah, I would say pitching rate.
One of the two.
Under-pitched, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be my first guess.
No, it could be both, really. Could be a little too high. What did you ferment this at,
It kind
Kim?
of drives me nuts that the same flavors can come from under and over. Because how are we going to, just as a brewer who wants to know, who wants
MrMalty.com.
I want things
Pitching rate calculator.
to be black and white. I want to know what, if I overpitch, it causes this flavor. If I under, it causes that one.
I
understand that's not reality.
You buy a hemocytometer and you figure it out.
No,
that sounds,
good Lord.
That sounds like blood.
I got mine for $38.
I can't even pronounce that.
What temperature did you ferment this at, Kim? Okay, she's apparently checked
Do you
out.
know what temperature this was fermented at, Andy? You're
Kim,
not sure.
come over here. She's shy. I'm
yell
not
it
giving
across-
your Drunk of the Week medal back unless you come over here.
Just yell it across the room. What temperature did you ferment this at? You know what? It's an awful beer anyway, Ken. Don't worry about it. What a jerk.
So Andy's telling me that he thinks it was fermented at 40 to begin with, and then was raised up what he thinks a bit too soon. They raised the temperature.
40 would be too cold.
That's what I would have thought too. When he says 40 to me, that's a cold temperature.
Like
Kim, what
44
is that?
and
Was
then,
that your primary
raise it
fermentation
over-
temperature? 40 degrees. You don't remember.
Oh, followed the Bible there.
Who doesn't remember?
The Pope's Bible.
Oh, he's got the book.
Look at that.
He's on his way to the
What are you
car.
brewing? 8 times a week now?
She just made Andy scamper
You
to
got
the
a new
car.
batch coming out every half a day?
Well, the book would have said, ferment at 50.
Yeah.
48 I like to use.
10Z.
48 really low, slow.
I like to start 44.
It was whatever the
43,
book said,
44,
is that what you're saying?
And then let it
Yeah.
rise.
Maybe she got
over
a typo.
36 hours to
So
50,
Kim-
and then
Kim
ferment
said it was
at 50.
whatever the
then
book
50.
said is what she did.
I'm going to try that, Jamil.
That's why it turned out so good.
Well, Colin's saying it's
It's good beer.
a bit too fruity, and
It
that
is
this might be a temperature issue.
And too roasty. But it's good beer.
See, I don't know what a Schwartz beer is supposed to taste like roasty-wise, but when I taste it as a lager,
Not as
to
bitter.
me a lager wouldn't have that much fruit. I like it. To me, it tastes like a nice little, really light, fruity ale.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
And I like that because I make ales.
But doesn't taste like a Schwarzbier lager.
I don't think the BN should have this much fruit either, but it
I don't
does.
know. I get lager from it. I think it had kind of a little bit of sulfur character, and generally very clean. It's that fruitiness when it warms up, and maybe if it's served a little colder, maybe it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I
quite so
poured it
apparent.
into a warm glass. So.
Yeah, so that might be part of it. You serve any lager really warm, tastes fruity.
Okay.
You know, I'm a British beer drinker. It's not 50. It's not ready to drink.
Traitor.
I think it's really well done, though. I think it's
it's really well done, too. I think it's really nice.
All right. And that's the last beer we're going to evaluate tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging out and talking about tasting beers with us. Did you
brave
want
enough
to
to try one more?
I got one more.
You want to do one more?
You brave enough?
All right. Let's go for it.
Oh, we got sullied, by the way. Dude's gone.
That's weird.
Where's Tasty?
Tasty disappeared a long time ago.
Is
'cause I
Tasty
wanted
giving
him
the tour?
to taste this, too.
I think he's giving the tour somewhere.
Yeah, where's Schumann? Is Schumann giving the tour? Schumann and Tasty both giving the tour?
Wow.
Your brewery's full right now.
Maybe
Colin.
Schumann is
Yeah.
giving the tour to Tasty.
You got one in the mash tun and one in the grain room. It's one hell of a tour going on
And
back
Chad's
there.
sitting right here next to Sam.
Just chilling with Sam.
Yeah, hanging out.
Chilling with Sammy the Dope. All right, so what is this last beer that we're going to try here, Colin?
Well, we don't really know what to call it. Okay, so this is
Is it not on the menu?
It's not on the menu. It's Temptation Dark Ale is its official name.
All right.
And it's the owner's favorite recipe. So when the owner,
Joe's favorite recipe.
It's Joe's favorite recipe, and so whenever I'm like, oh well, what should I brew? I need to make a special. This is always what he picks. It's been about 2 years since I've made it, which shows how much influence he has over what I brew.
Okay.
And
well, that's nice.
very
Actually,
perfumey.
it means you can do what you want.
I get to do what I want, and so this is, I would say, a really fruity Schwarzbier. You know, because it's an ale yeast, fermented warm.
Yeah.
But it's the malt bill's a lot more like a Schwarzbier than it is like anything that would be British.
I'm really with JP on the perfume character of this beer.
Almost like a lavender thing.
Jamil's
See, to
not
me,
allowed
it
to
smells
sit
like
next to me
chocolate.
anymore.
Is he making
He's
creepy
done.
creepy comments in the chat room?
He's
Hey,
making
you know,
everyone
it's-
talk
it's
about himself.
Not my fault.
He's typing, "Hey, Jamil's a really handsome man, isn't he?" And everyone goes, "Oh,
see, one of the things about this beer that's less Schwarzbier like now. See, this one tastes to me like an ale. There's a fundamental like underlying fermentation difference between ales and lagers, and the lager has kind of a cleaner thing, and you may have a fruity lager, but it's still kind of like a lager.
Yes.
And then you have an ale, and a really clean ale still tastes like an ale to me. There's certain kind of underlying background fermentation character that is the difference between the two. I really love this beer. It's to me, it's kind of like a
mild,
like a British mild. It's got a fruitiness to it, and kind of that little bit of
So
roasty.
people at home know what we're tasting. It's low in alcohol. It's around 5%.
It tastes like a stripper.
It's a little bit darker than a brown,
but not as spicy.
Yeah, and it smells like, to me, it smells like chocolate.
I get tobacco.
Stripper.
I get a little tobacco.
I could pick tobacco out of that. Yeah.
Lotion.
It's
glitter. Baby oil.
Smells like glitter.
I think we've named this beer for you. It's stripper black or something. I
Well,
don't know.
it's called Temptation. I mean,
stripper brown.
Temptation. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right there.
It's called Night in Prison Ale. That's what it is.
Now, one of the things we've talked about a lot tonight is fermentation flavors. This is one of the cleanest fermentations that comes out of this yeast.
Really?
Yeah.
What yeast is this?
This is English ale.
Oh.
And
See, I don't. It does. See, to me, it doesn't taste clean like that. It's because of all the fruit and perfume and
JP
other
mentioned
things
prison.
coming off of it. I would say it's one of the more estery fermentations of this yeast.
That is
yeah,
really
but it's
fruity,
estery,
though.
but it's not off flavors. So
It's like a plum.
Okay, yeah. I don't mean off flavors, but I mean it's the characteristics of the yeast really coming through. So
That's
you
right.
meant that there's nothing wrong. It's a clean. It was a perfect fermentation.
That's right.
Okay.
When I'm using this yeast, I'm looking for those flavors.
Got it. And I think
and
that
I'm
is
expecting those flavors.
Then I'm with you. I think it's the perfect way to present the English yeast with all of those estery characteristics. They're all coming through in this beer.
That's right. And this is 68-degree fermentation, and I can pull this all the way down to 62 if I really wanted to ferment it cold and
cut off some of those.
And cut off some of those, but I like it warmer because the reason why I choose this yeast is I want some of those estery characters.
Okay.
So Beer Martin wants to know if it's wienery.
I was just going to say, how do you combat the wienery?
It's
from
not
that
wienery.
yeast?
No,
that's what I'm saying. How does he cut out the wienery? Because the English, to me, I get a lot of wienery from it.
Normally you do. I think this is
Normally
not
I do.
wienery. I think this
No.
is the ideal fermentation. There's nothing wienery
I
about it.
think it's pretty clean. The one thing I get in this,
It is pretty clean.
especially when the sample warms up quite a bit, I get peach.
Yeah, Jamil gets a
Get some
lot of
strong
peach out of this, and that's funny.
Tobacco? Am I the only one?
Tobacco comes from the malt, but peach is coming from the yeast. And I don't know if peach is a flavor descriptor I would use. Certainly fruity or estery is a flavor descriptor. Jamil's like solid on peach as the ester.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got this the first time he and I tasted it tonight.
You know, I
really
get
like this beer, though.
I get like plum.
It's a nice beer.
I get plum juice.
I get plum also.
Plum
juice.
is
I'm just going to repeat you guys on this
when,
beer.
When you get,
I'm just gonna repeat you guys.
some of the darker kiln malts.
Yeah, the darker kiln malts.
and those flavors from it, and you get crystal malts and things like that. And the darker kiln malts, you get kind of those plums along with the fruitiness.
This has a lot
and
of
the
carafa too.
You tend to get kind of a plum thing going on there.
Plum juice, though. Not like you're eating a plum.
Like you're
plum
sucking
juice.
on a couple of plums.
Yeah.
Close to prune, but more plummy.
And
no, it's more lighter. It's brighter than a prune plum. It's.
I think one of the things
Prunes
I like
tend to be
about it,
a little more oxidized.
Okay.
I think one of the things I like about it is the finish is the roastiness. The finish isn't the hoppiness.
Right, and there's actually a nice hoppy character through this thing that it's never obvious, but at some point in time when you're drinking it, you go, oh, there's actually a nice, kind of hop flavor, restrained hop flavor throughout this thing that really shows up more in the finish.
And it is fruity hops. It's not
kind of
noble
sitting
hops.
around, you go, oh, yeah, some nice hops in there, kind of balancing the whole thing out.
If I had to give my best professional opinion, it would be that it was not triple hopped, cold filtered, or brewed with Rocky Mountain water.
Was it frost brewed though?
That it might have been. No, it's a little too estery. It probably wasn't frost brewed
You know
either.
what? Again, so I saw one of those commercials, and again, at the very bottom of the screen, they tell you what frost brewing is.
Oh.
The beer during the brewing process is cooled to 34 degrees several times through the brewing process.
Huh.
Thought I'd share that with you, in case, Colin, if you gain anything from me, it's hopefully not the clap, and it's definition of frost brewing.
Right. All right, great job, Colin.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful beer.
It is good beer.
And look at us picking, for one, not only are you a gentleman for letting us pick apart your beer, but we're having to work really hard to find things wrong with your beer, goddammit. We need to go to a brewery who's got some bad beer to do this show next time.
Well, yeah, and maybe that's something that's really important, because every beer that I taste in my brewery, I know 90% of what I'm thinking about is what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
10% of what I'm thinking about is what's right with it. And that doesn't matter if it's the best batch of beer I've ever had, where I sit down and they're delicious and they slide away. I'm always concentrating on the off flavors. And I think that's something that, if you're going to improve, that you need to do.
Well, and I think it's the reason I'm comfortable saying to you that your beer's gotten better over the 4 years that I've known you, because you're picking it apart every time you're brewing it.
I hope so. I hope the beers are better now.
One of the things we talked about earlier is, every place you go, the beers are not perfect. I mean, they are, they can be spectacular, and very rarely are they perfect. They're can be really great beers, and you want to pay money for them. You want to drink as much as you can.
Yeah.
But they may not be absolutely perfect. So don't go in expecting, oh my God, there's a little bit of this or a little bit of that. It's okay. Focus on, the 90% that's good. As a beer drinker, enjoy the beer. Don't get so tied up in, is this, of a certain style, or especially commercial beer. Don't frickin' worry about style. They call it whatever style, that's fine. Go in and think about it that style. If it doesn't fit that style, think about it as just a good drinking beer. And if you want to assign a different style to it in your mind, go ahead. That's fine. Or maybe even tell them, hey, I don't think this is a really great, Schwartz beer, but I think it's a great, mild, or I think it's, whatever it might be. Go ahead and, that's okay. Just style doesn't matter as far as enjoying a beer. Style's just a jumping off point to discuss a beer.
Brian Hunt has a great
brother named
piece
Mike.
of advice,
sorry.
and that is what's important is the delicious factor. do you grab a pint of beer and does it go away before you notice you started drinking it?
Yeah.
If it does that, then it's a
Then
good
you've
beer.
been hanging out with Justin.
Right.
Then it's a good beer, and you order the next one, and after your second beer, maybe it slips away before you noticed you were drinking it, and then you order your third beer, and you've decided this has this really delicious
And then you
thing.
call a cab.
And then 8 beers, you're on the ground, your pants down around your ankles. You go, where's the bathroom?
I'm trying to be serious. So then on the third beer, you
You're doing
say,
a good job.
what is it I like and don't like about this? And when you're trying to do that, and it's one of the things that's really problematic with judging in competitions.
Yeah, by the third beer, I never worry about that. I'm just enjoying at that point.
Well, if you can enjoy it all the way till you get there, then it's probably worth figuring out what you're tasting. But if you're not, if you grab a beer and you go, oh gosh, what's wrong with this beer? And you're halfway through the beer going, should I order a different beer?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Start out with what you like. Enjoy the beer. Enjoy it. And then if you want to think about, maybe I'd change this or change that, or maybe, this, that, or the other thing, or, gosh, I expected an ESB, but this is more like a, American Pale Ale. All right, or good. One of my favorite beers is Bitch Creek from Grand Teton, and they label it as an ESB, and it's a little too roasty, I think. I mean, it's got some roasted malt character to it. I don't really think it's a great ESB,
right?
But I love that beer. I drink the daylights out of it, and I think it's more like an English brown ale or whatever. I don't care. I love it. Who cares what style they put on the label? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Enjoy the beer, but that's what I went into thinking about it. But then I enjoy it, and it really doesn't matter what the style is. It's just kind of a jumping off point for discussion.
It's like a woman. You know
this is going to be good. Like you would know, JP.
There's
going to
be good. I've read. You know, there's going to be problems. Okay, they're going to yell at you for no reason. They're going to nag you.
Bevo's the same.
Including Bevo. They'll snap.
You sound like you're talking about married women.
They won't like the things that you like. They'll tell you, "Oh, don't go out with your friends. Stay home with me. We'll get a dog." And you're like, "Whatever, dude." And then you cut her tires.
I've
and
never
whatever.
called my wife dude.
But
that's the problem.
In the end, it's all fine and whatever.
Okay. Well, we'll give
All
JP
right.
the last...
That's a T-shirt, by the way.
Except for my last word. That's the last word.
But what about this one?
Speaking about T-shirts...
we have had one problem with this entire show.
JP.
No, we haven't done any 12 o'clocks.
No, that's not a problem.
I did. Let's set that up. I'm down. We're coming back. We got one more segment. Why don't we set those up at the break? We'll do them when we come back.
We need to try the Double Wood Double IPA.
Done. We'll do that for our 12 o'clocks. The only thing I wanted to add is we're talking about when we're evaluating beers and enjoying beers. I just wanted to reiterate what we talked about at the beginning as homebrewers. Stop asking questions that you don't want the answer to. If you really care about the flavors in your beer and you're handing it to people like Jameel and Colin and JP and guys who can tell you some good stuff about your beer, well, then hand it to them and ask them what they think. And if you don't want to know what they think, then just say, hey, I'd like to share this beer with you.
Right.
Again,
and tell me what you like about it.
Whatever you want to do. I really want to stop this culture of questions that don't require answers, and I think that it's going to make every one of you, and me, for that matter, a better brewer.
If you don't want to hear, yes, that makes you look fat, don't ask me if that makes you look fat. The scale will tell you all. Don't pin me down and take your frustrations out on me.
Right, Bevo? Isn't JP right?
I'm not fat.
But he's right.
Sure.
But if you asked Sam, does this make me fat? And he said yes, you'd get mad at him.
No.
Well, that's why
I'm not normal. When I ask a question, I ask
you are
it like
normal.
a real
Sweetheart, I wish you were normal, and that's the point. I just, in an honest way, listen, homebrewers, lighten up a little bit. Share your beer. If you just want people to enjoy it with you, by all means, just do that and say, hey, enjoy my beer with me. But if you really want to know what they think, like we're talking about on this show, and like Colin lets us rip apart his beer, that's when you hand it to somebody and you say, what do you think about this beer? Let's start a new, a new trend where you mean what you say and you say what you mean when you're handing somebody your beer.
I think that's in a Disney movie.
Well, I like it. I got to start somewhere.
Will you come with me to Disneyland?
No. God damn it, JP. I'm not going to Disneyland. Bevo, I got to go to break. Is it important? All right.
It is important.
We're taking a break. When we come back, we're going to do a 12 o'clock with Colin. It's always 12 o'clock somewhere. If you've been listening to the Downtown Joe shows, you know that. Also, we've got a trip to give away to the Great American Beer Festival and some Belgian candy sugar to a lucky BN listener right here sitting with us at Downtown Joe's. So stick around. We'll be back. It's The Session, live from Downtown Joe's in Napa. Napas.
Listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
In the past year, the Brewing Network has been able to add 2 new shows, expand our studio capabilities and quality, and bring more beer information home to you than ever before. In no small part, this is due to subscribers like you. Thank you from all of us at the Brewing Network. Without your monthly support of any denomination, we could not bring you the very best in live beer radio like Can You Brew It, Brew Strong, and the Sunday Session. Haven't signed up yet? Join your fellow brewers in the BN Army. Sign up today at thebrewingnetwork.com for a recurring donation as little as $2 a month. Besides all the great live radio you'll support, every subscriber is automatically entered in monthly raffles for amazing brew gear like a conical fermenter, a temperature control system, or your own draft setup. Become a part of the BN Army today.
Yeah, that's right. Broadcasting live from Downtown Joe's right here in Napa, California. It's not wine country anymore, it's Colin country. And we're drinking beer here at Downtown Joe's, as we like to do. Our favorite place to do remotes, hang out with Colin and his staff. And by the way, if you're here, take care of his staff. Get those guys some tips and ladies some tips. They're good to us every time we come in here. In fact, they're really good to us every time we come in here.
Colin's staff and the people that work here.
And talking about Colin's staff. One thing I wanted to say, when you were mentioning the shirts earlier, buying a Hop Grenade or a Brew Strong shirt or one of the anniversary party shirts.
Yes, Jamil?
One of the advantages to it, if you wear one of these shirts and go to some place where you don't know anybody, you're wandering around some new beer place, you're going out to check out some place you've never been. You put on the Hop Grenade shirt, or especially the Brew Strong shirt, and you go in, and the people there, it's kind of like an introduction.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about how you went, and somebody was saying, once you introduced yourself as the Brewing Network, they had kind of a different take on what you were saying. I think the same thing happens when I put on a Brewing Network shirt and I go to some place and, I'm sitting having a sampler. They look and they go, even if they don't know the Brewing Network, intimately, like, guy's wearing a Hop Grenade shirt.
Like biblically?
Probably a beer guy.
Yeah.
Probably a beer guy. He's wearing a shirt that says Brew Strong. Probably brews his own beer. Probably has, some sort. And the people who do know, they're going, hey, yeah, Brew Network. And you get that more times than not. So, it's kind of cool to have a Brewing Network shirt. You go around, it's kind of like a little introduction for you. You don't have to.
I do get a lot of people that come in with the Hop Grenade, and they'll come in and they'll order a taster set. They'll be really polite and they'll try not to bug me, and I'll be walking by them and they'll be about halfway through the taster set, and it's like, okay, I got to talk to you.
Yeah, you got to go up and say hello.
Right.
And it's becoming recognizable like that. I think a lot of brewmasters are doing that. I will say this about the difference between the Brew Strong and the Hop Grenade too, Jamil. I found it to be pretty interesting. If you wear the Hop
Strong
Grenade,
people are much smarter, and they figure you know what you're talking about. You're a great brewer, and
smart.
Great beer.
I would have to wait for a university study to come out before I would believe
you've listened to JP and Justin, and you really, that's kind of
I've got
dropped a few points
$7 I can put into that study.
You will, because I'm going to wait for the study on that one. I will say this: there's a type of person who will respond to each, and the Hop Grenade, the people who will respond to it they're either a listener, or they're not a home brewer. Because they go, wow, that's cool. What is that? And they think it's weed, or they know it's hops, or whatever. They might just be a craft brewer. So either way, you get a response. That's who responds. Either another BN Army member or a non-home brewer will respond to the Hop Grenade shirt. The Brew Strong shirt, I actually get more responses to than any other shirt that I wear, and it's by home brewers in general, and it's mostly home brewers who don't listen to the Brewing Network. But there's more home brewers that I'll be honest about any of these. Any of the magazines would say the same thing if they were honest. There are more home brewers that don't listen to the BN than there are that do, which is wonderful for our business model, by the way, because we still have room to grow. So what I mean is, I can walk through the Home Depot and the Safeway and the Victoria's Secret. Don't ask. Whatever you
walk through the first, you linger in the third.
Hanging around in the bathroom at the playground.
And people walk right up to me and go, "Oh, I love your shirt. I'm a brewer."
Right.
And so what I mean is, you kind of have to feel like you're in a club to respond to the Hop Grenade shirt. All you have to be is a brewer to respond to the Brew Strong shirt. And so I get a lot of response like that out of it.
I get a lot of emails that say Brew Strong Fred.
Yeah,
Brew Strong.
There you go.
Yeah, I get a lot of emails because I get maybe 20 or 30 emails a week from homebrewers. And I really try hard to answer them all as carefully as I can. And a lot of them say Brew Strong now.
What do you have to be when if you respond to the lunch meat shirt?
I have never gotten lunch meat Fred.
Retarded.
Every time I email you, I'm going to put
special
lunch meat
special.
Japer.
All right, Colin, there's a rumor that it's 12 o'clock somewhere.
It's 12 o'clock!
But and giving everybody a chance to get ready for their 12 o'clock. What is the beer we're about to
the double IPA. So
I'm not the Woods came in.
The Woods came in. We brewed a double IPA. It became a Hopinator experiment. So
you're going to make us chug a double IPA.
Well, it's only 9.5%. So.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
I think I'm going to
And I poured 20 of them. I hope that's enough.
Give it a taste first, JP, so you know what you're into.
I did.
Well, Downtown Joe's staff and friends of the BN, it's 12 o'clock somewhere, and as Colin likes to make us do, it's time to have a drink.
Oh, yeah.
Salute!
Pardon the dead air.
Lunch meat. I'm not doing it. I'm not chugging it. I can't do it.
You're fast. That was good.
He's heard that before.
There's not many.
The former, not the
There's
latter.
not many things I'm good at, Colin.
Schumann is invading my personal space.
Surprise, surprise.
Hi, how's the tour over, Schumann?
I just want to point out to the folks at home, only Colin and I finished our 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I told you I'm not going to do it. I'm not that kind of a man.
That's a lot of hops to swallow in a couple gulps, Colin.
Yeah.
I'm going to admit, I hate to do it, but in JP's sissy boy defense,
there you go.
That's a lot of hops. Although I did it, but that's a lot of hops to swallow in one.
I can't do it.
That's rich. I feel like I just had a burger. It was thick, and Colin
can't even. Yeah, when you get all that bitterness in the back of the throat, it just closes up. Man.
Yeah, he's feeling it as well. It's a thick beer to have a bunch of in one.
To insert.
I'm afraid to touch Colin. The look on his face. Give us an empty pitcher. You might have to let it back up. He's going to be fine.
You ever seen a double IPA twice?
He's a professional. All right, Beav. It's time for our Great American Beer Festival giveaway. It's courtesy of Beer, and More Beer. Woo-hoo. And also White Labs Yeast Company.
Who are you looking at, Bevo?
And also the Brewers Association. And also the Brewing Network.
Yeah.
All of these people have come together to give you a paid hotel, a paid flight, and a ticket to every session of the Great American Beer Festival.
Colin is going into the bath. Oh, yeah. He's.
I think Colin just let go of his 12 o'clock.
He's starting to, man. He's holding it back. There it goes.
Oh boy.
Oh, Colin.
That makes for a good show.
Oh, man. He walked past me with full-on, Dizzy Gillespie cheeks. I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to get sprayed.
Did anybody else beside me hold down their 12 o'clock?
I knew I wasn't going to do it if I did that.
I just want to point out that's a mile.
That's a mile.
That's a mile. Thank you, Bevo. High five from the Beav. She's from Pinole. She knows that that's a mile.
Yeah.
All right, we got a Great American Beer Festival giveaway to do. Here's the deal. If you had signed up to become a recurring donor this month or any month prior to to the BN Army, then your name is automatically entered in the hat. Otherwise, if you had bought a vial of White Labs yeast from Beer, and More Beer, or sent them a card with your information on it, you are in the bucket. So the lovely Bevo is going to... She's already mixed up the tickets.
Bevo. How about that?
We're going to know right away. The gray tickets, and Bevo's not looking. She's going to pick them out at random, and they're all the same size. It's all done as professional as the BN gets. If it's a gray ticket, there will be a name written on it, and that means you're a recurring donor in the BN Army. If it's a yellow ticket, you were one of the More Beer entries.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, are you entered into this? Did you buy some White Labs yeast? Are you going to be in this ticket? Are you going to be in this for a GABF trip? You're in there. All right, maybe Film Lab Rat right here hanging out at Downtown Joe's could be one of our winners. There's a lot of other BNers here who could be a winner. Andy, is your name in that hat? What do you think? Are you his name's in there?
I think I saw it 4 times.
I don't know if I could handle the woods at GABF, so I'm rooting against the woods.
I think you're going to get enough wood at GABF. You don't need...
There's going to be a lot of wood.
You can't have too much wood.
Yeah, Jamil, you going to the GABF this year?
That's the plan. I found out my daughter has a soccer tournament that weekend now.
No one likes soccer.
In Petaluma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you get to go to Lagunitas is the point.
Well, there you go. Now it makes it sound even better.
All right, Beav. JP, drum roll, please, as Bevo picks the name of our 2009 Great American Beer Festival winner. I fully expected you to sing like It's a Small World. A ticket has been picked. It looks like a gray ticket, which means it's a BN Army member. There should be a name on the ticket. Bevo, grab the microphone. Yeah. Tell us who the 2009 winner of the Great American Beer Festival trip is.
Brian Martin.
Brian Martin, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to the Great American Beer Festival. You've got a flight, a hotel, a ticket to every session. All you got to do is bring money for food. And
wasn't he the guy that wanted to know if the beer tastes like wiener?
It might be the same guy, right? Brian
See you in the chat
Martin. Brian Martin will be contacting you tomorrow. You have to claim your prize within
72 hours.
72
from
hours
today.
Otherwise, we're going to draw another name and another person. So, Brian Martin, we're going to send you an email tomorrow morning. Make sure you respond and you get yourself a trip to the GABF, courtesy of Beer, and More Beer, White Labs Yeast, the Brewers Association, and the Brewing Network. So, thanks very much for playing, everybody. And the last thing we have to do is give away some Belgian candy sugar. Film Lab, have you ever brewed with Belgian candy sugar before?
He
did you? Yes. He said yes.
Yes.
Damn it! I really wanted to give you some Belgian candy sugar. You showed up twice. What about Mark from SoCal? Andy, we've given him Belgian candy sugar, haven't we? It just hasn't showed up yet. Andy, grab Mark right behind you. This guy right there at the bar, and bring Mark up here.
Come
Mark,
here, Mark.
Also known as SoCal Brewer, I think is his forum name. SoCal, have you brewed with Belgian candy sugar before? Mark. Guess what?
Mark.
You've just earned yourself a chance to brew with some Belgian candy sugar, courtesy of Dark Candy Inc. We're going to give you some Belgian candy sugar. You ever brewed a Belgian beer before?
No, this will be the first one now.
Yeah, you've been looking forward to doing it, I hope?
Everything you guys did. Thank Colin for the perfect show and great beer here.
Wow, he's a super fan. If this was a perfect show.
He is a super fan. How you doing, Colin?
I feel much better now.
Wait.
Oh, his mic's not even on.
You feel better now?
Yeah.
Now that you got rid of that that double IPA?
that was it turned into instant foam on me.
Yeah.
All right, Mark.
Chunks.
Don't take off before we get your address. We're going to give you some Belgian candy sugar, and you get to brew some Belgian beers. Right on, brother. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, Bevo.
Brian Martin is in the chat room right at this exact moment.
I like it when they're there hanging out. And is he excited?
He's super excited and apparently slightly drunk.
Oh, good.
Yay, Brian.
He just said he's going to pass out. He wants to know, how does he claim it? Should he shoot you an email?
Tell him we'll contact him tomorrow.
Okay.
He can shoot me an email if he wants, Brian. Go ahead. I've got all your information. We're going to contact you first thing in the morning, and we're going to take care of you. So, absolutely. Yeah. He gets an all-expense-paid trip. Just bring money for food, brother. And nobody eats at the GABF anyway.
No, well, you know what? And that usually means a night out with White Labs at the Brazilian barbecue joint.
It does?
Down from the wing. Yeah.
Oh, see, I always go on that night, too. So, we might be having dinner dinner with Brian.
Yeah, you will. At the Brazilian barbecue joint, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's good food.
Best friggin' place.
All right, congratulations,
maybe
brother.
This year I'll freaking get invited. You know?
Maybe
to what?
you will.
To the Brazilian dinner?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Well, if you didn't plug another used company and plug White Labs more, maybe you would.
Okay, hey, so I've got a secret that I can spill a rumor about before we get off the air.
You were born with both a wiener and a hoo-ha.
And
buns.
It's just a rumor.
And it's not quite official yet, but it looks like it's coming together.
My
John Palmer and I are going to be authoring a book on water chemistry.
I saw this rumor.
Association.
Really?
That's a good one.
That's the rumor. And
I think I suggested you for.
You and Gordon both did. Gordon fought for it. He saw my lecture and he fought for it. And
by the way,
and John and I have exchanged some really good emails. We've got some really good ideas. John actually had the idea laid out for how he wanted the book to work. And it was way smarter than the way I would have done it.
Yeah.
Because I would have done it just like a textbook. Look, you need to start here and you need to end here.
Again,
but
I'm
he's
shocked.
But John wrote it in a really smart way. He wrote the outline, so it was like, okay, you're going to start here and you're going to learn this much, and that's going to be enough. You don't need to move on to this later chapter.
Right.
And then once you know that and you're used to that, then you can move on, and it comes in stages.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good book.
You know what I like most
it's going to be
about
4 years.
4 years? Good Lord! What I really like
There's only
about the
3
idea
years between now and 2012.
Hopefully the bean will be around.
Not if you're
enough.
Colin. This guy makes holographs. There's 4 years for him.
Hopefully we'll be around
he
long
can
enough.
bend space time.
As the BN to
I
promote
think
your
we
book.
can put it together in 9 months.
Well,
So-
no,
Like a baby.
It's going to be. You think 9 months? It's 2 years. But I'll tell you this: there's no better person to work on with a book than John Paul.
I'm really excited about that, and I'm glad.
You're very lucky to get a chance to work with him. It's going to be great.
Not only am I excited that the Brewers Association had confidence in me to help write the book, but I'm really glad that John Palmer has been really inviting and said, "Hey, I'm really excited to have you on this project."
Yeah.
Well, he's married. He
Wonder,
needs to get
wonderful to work with. He really is. He's open to your suggestions. He'll have great suggestions of his own, and you can count on him. He's a wonderful guy.
and what I really like about the topic is that I've been looking for a cure for my insomnia for years now, and I've not been able to find it. So I can't wait till 2012 when I can sit down with your book on water chemistry and get a good night's sleep.
You don't think you'd be rubbing one out to water chemistry?
The more you rub one out to water chemistry, the better it'll be for you. So.
The better my beer will be, right? No, that is fantastic, and I got to say, I'm prideful and proud, and I love to see extended members of the BN family coming out with these great publications too, so that not only can they read the book, but they can hear them on the show. So, Colin, that's great. I love that's a good combo. You and Palmer and water.
I think it'll be fun. I'm really excited about it. I've done a lot of experiments, and it'll be fun to get them all in ink. So.
Well, not to steal Colin's thunder, but I too have an announcement to make.
Okay.
You just pooed your pants?
Yeah. Terrence.
Yes.
Terrence the Black.
Found Sully in the parking lot.
Found Sully. There he is.
Sully's back.
Terrence and I are going to co-author a book called Keeping It Real.
Really?
Yeah.
Will the soundtrack to the book be from Piney Wood?
Piney Wood. What a dumb... I'm sorry. Look, Piney Wood.
Don't say it.
What a
You
dumb
don't.
name.
He's across the street, and I don't want to get shot.
But it's a dumb... Someone has to tell him.
No.
It's a retarded name for Piney Wood.
It's good.
And maybe he's like sticky like a pine tree.
Mr. Wood, I really like the name, and I think your album is wonderful.
Jamil's grooming me, pulling out my gray hairs.
Mr.
Get
Guy
out
who
here.
lives across the street from me.
Get
Thank
out
you.
Here.
All right, we're out of here, everybody. Thanks for having us, Colin.
Hey, who's drunk of the week?
Thank you for having me.
It's always a good time.
We need drunk of the week.
Well, Colin's the only one that threw up, so
I think Schumann might be drunk
he
of the
might have
week.
gotten his second medal.
I just watched Schumann take a shot of something that resembled Jaeger.
Actually, Schumann is getting real close to drunk of the week.
Hey, you know what? We invented a new drink last night. It's a
Punch in the
green
face.
flash.
You invented a new... Who is we?
The general manager and
I love it.
And Bobby's over there hiding his head right now.
So what's in the green flash?
It is a shot of absinthe poured into Red Bull.
Oh,
God.
And then as you're taking it, you get kicked in the junk.
Oh,
That's the green flag.
Already.
You know what? They're really good. We had to decide to stop. So
Hey, Schumann. Can someone pull Schumann over to the broadcast table so we can decide if he's drunk of the week?
Schumann, come here.
By the way,
Just look at him.
By the way, he's hugging every dude that's around him.
Hey, you have a wiener. Let me hug you.
I'm pretty sure he's drunk of the week.
Yeah.
Shoot, just real quick. I got to get out of here. Just come over here. Let's evaluate you very quickly. You'll just have to say hello. Give him your headphones, Beef, because he can't hear if you don't. He's got real bad.
Hey, Schumann. Could you watch the knife? Watch them. No, hold your head still.
Okay.
No, you have to aim your head forward. Okay.
What are you having him do?
I'm watching it.
Oh, he's doing the eyeball test.
Yeah. Watch the knife.
Although the knife just moved over a speed bump.
Totally did. Watch it. I'm going to flip your eye out with this knife.
Schumann, how's your night been going?
It's been great.
Wait, what?
It's been going great.
Yeah? What have you been doing?
I've been drinking a lot of beer and had a couple of shots of Jameson.
No.
Yeah.
Poor choice.
Have you given anybody the tour? You were missing for a little while.
I've been talking with some ladies, but no tours yet.
Rumor had it that you were kind of hitting on one of the staff.
I was.
Would that be accurate?
That would be an accurate description.
Was that successful?
But you haven't been thrown out, so it sounds like you've been respectful.
She hasn't pressed charges yet.
But her son might.
Is there anything anything else you'd like to say in your advocacy or defense?
You know what? I love the ladies, and I respect them. And I respect their children too.
Very fair enough. A Schumann is drunk of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Did I get drunk of the week?
Yes.
Yes.
What about their hopes and dreams?
I'm surprised I can't believe that's Schumann's first drunk of the week. Actually, I don't think you've ever won before.
I haven't.
Your brother has won.
I think my brother has won. I've never won.
Well, you're not a winner.
He is now?
Now he's going to cry. Don't tell a drunk of the week that.
Why don't you shove your dick in your ass?
Because I'm sitting down and I can't do that. Okay. Or else I would. Would you like to help?
Oh, I would love to.
It's like loading an old-fashioned musket. You really got to, Yeah.
Don't say anything. It's like what?
It's like loading an old-fashioned musket.
What happens then?
You have to take the ramrod and shove it in there.
Do we have a single listener left at this point?
Yeah.
No, they're all around.
Colin, I got to tell you, you know what's amazing about this program?
What's happening right now?
It doesn't matter how bad it gets, we have tons and tons and tons of listeners.
So if I accidentally grab Bevo's...
Look, there's a bunch of men hugging on the stage right now. Sully, do you want to contribute to the Love Fest?
We should all make out.
I'm just posting on Facebook right now.
I'm not really doing anything but posting on...
Who wants to open mouth kiss right now? Can I ask that?
You guys look really happy together. Is that not so?
Who are you talking to?
What?
Who are you talking to, Jay?
All of you.
Oh, I'm having a great time. I'm having the best time that I ever did have right now.
And we've got an iPhone aimed at you, so this is the big group hug for the
JP,
iPhone.
This is usually the part of the show where you kind of like, fall apart.
Yeah. I could. What do you want to talk about? You should bring your Ian kid to Disneyland.
He's already been, but I'll definitely bring Ian.
Yeah, because Ian seemed like a nice man.
You're in a good mood right now. It's good to see.
I've had a few beers.
For the people out there in Radioland, I'm literally like 6 inches away from JP's face.
You want to make it? We could do it.
So the rumor about JP is he likes plushies, and that's why he goes to Disneyland.
To what?
He likes plushies. That's why he goes to Disneyland.
What's a plushie?
Is that the rumor?
That's the rumor.
What's a plushie?
The rumor is JP likes it in the can.
Rumor is JP likes a Pacheco plushie.
I like both of these rumors.
The Pacheco plushie is something entirely different.
What's a Pacheco plushie?
I like the fact that there's 5 of us right now that have our arms around each other.
Yeah, we're like trying to block a kick in
like
soccer.
The Partridge Family.
You guys do look very happy. I hope somebody's taking photos to post on various web pages that will shame these folks later on.
I've had beer tonight.
You haven't had any beer. Look at all those beers.
Look at all those beers. This table here. It's bringing it strong there, Colin. I mean, there's thousands of beers on the table right now. There's like a bag of hops. There's at least 45 beers on here.
We're going to tell the DEA that's hops.
Okay. Very good.
Totally hops. All right, everybody. Thanks very much. Jameel, I appreciate you spending your family time with us and doing a little beer evaluation. Colin
But not
Kaminsky,
more than me.
as always, you're the most gracious host, and thanks for having us out here.
Thank you for coming.
And Joe from Downtown Joe's, you're a good man, and you're a strong supporter of the BN, so please support Downtown Joe's.
Strong.
And for that matter, all of our sponsors. The 21st Amendment has been with us for a long time. Beer, and More Beer, Northern Brewer, Williams Brewing. Some new sponsors, Brewmaster's Warehouse, Nico Brew. All of these guys. Don't forget about White Labs, the yeast that keeps on giving. I don't know, I make up a new catchphrase for them every time. I don't know. Seven Bridges Cooperative, who, by the way, pay attention. They've got to an all-organic homebrew competition coming up very shortly.
Well, you know, speaking of the sponsors, email those people and tell them if you've heard about one of these sponsors from the Brewing Network, let them know. Being on the retail side, we want to know that stuff so we can keep sponsoring the Brewing Network. So if you want the Brewing Network to stick around, we need sponsorship, and we need you to say, hey, I heard about you from the Brewing Network, and that's why I buy my stuff from you, because you support them.
You know,
it's invaluable.
I've gotten some of the greatest notes on the back of a receipt from, hey, the only reason I'm here is because you support the BN. Thanks for the great beers. Have a great day. I get 3 or 4 a week.
Stop staring at my boobs.
Get a bunch of that.
No, I mean, really, stop staring at my boobs.
And I love them, so keep them coming.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. We're on the air in 2 weeks. We're actually off next week, and we're back. And we're off the week after that.
I'm going to make beer next week, everybody. I'm going to brew with my nephew.
And then we're back after that, and then we have the JBF. And
I don't.
Good Lord.
Oh, so I have like a friggin' month off.
You got a good time off.
That's great.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you
Bebo
next
wants to
time.
say something. Okay, bye.